Hey everybody, this is Johnny Beane, and it is June 6, 2020, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:10 Pacific. Now, how do I turn this off? There we go.
Oh, boy.
Thank you. Wow. Man, it is hot.
It is scorching. My sperm is boiling in my sack.
Yuck.
What?
Man.
It's like egg drop soup. Don't don't turn any of the women in the audience off to it.
John Mancuda. Hey, man.
Hey.
Yeah, it is hot here in Santa Cruz, California today.
And in Hollywood.
Yeah, although it's probably only like 70 degrees, but it's, it's hot.
It's 70 by you?
Well, it probably is. That's
way hotter down here. Way hotter down here.
I know.
and I think Wisconsin has like a rainstorm going on.
Uh-huh.
Aren't they like drowning? Who was it? Halface? Was that you that was saying? Halface, was that you in Wisconsin drowning in a tropical storm right now?
I don't know.
I thought I read something in the comments before we went live. The weather's crazy. Global warming is no joke.
Yeah. And it's what's worse is, I do these shows and I sit here and I have 4 lights on me.
No, I have lights. I have lights too.
So I'm sweating.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
And it's weird because like usually like now we have June gloom over here and it's it's roasting. It's just right. Even the coast is really hot over like by Santa Monica and the Palisades, Malibu. They're dying.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the June gloom here maybe a week ago or something. But not anymore. Quit wasting power. Yeah. I know. I could probably turn one of these off.
Even this morning, I woke up and my eye water was steaming. It was like, what's? It's really hot in here,
Wow. Well, hey, let me take this opportunity to thank the executive producers of the Johnny Beane TV.
The bosses, the big bosses,
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's give a thanks to Charles Green, Robbie Johnston, Music Therapy Laz, David Ennis, Thomas Santiago, Mike Neese, Connor Johnson 5150, Michael the Captain Smith, and some Dave Dude, and Steve Carmichael.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all of you.
We really appreciate our audience. We really do.
Yeah.
Because without you guys, we are nothing. Especially me. Johnny's something, but not me. And Blue Rhino's something. Blue Rhino's something too.
Yeah. And Ned?
Ned the cat. He's also got some street cred. I got nothing. Without you guys, I got nothing.
It's hot. Anyway.
Yeah, so it's hot. All right, we've established that. Look,
yeah.
Heat Miser is blowing me right now. It's like they call me Heat Miser whenever I talk. My class too much. Yeah, I know.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it sucks. It really sucks. I feel bad, and those out there protesting, if you guys are tuning in while you're marching. Good luck to you, man. Just stay hydrated because it's roasting out here in Hollywood. The pavement doesn't help.
No.
Yes, John. Yes, John Biel. It's hot. John Biel just said, "Is it hot in California?" Yes. Yes,
it's
brother.
Hot.
Yes, it is.
A little too hot.
I wish I could get up as much as the temperature. Believe me.
Man.
No, Rico B. Paulie will be along in a little bit. He had something to take care of, but he'll be coming on the show in a little bit. So it's not just Johnny and the Pink Loser. It's Paul will also
I'm sure when Paul gets here, he'll mention how hot it is there.
Yeah, then we'll have to hear about Arizona.
And this is nothing. This is nothing compared to probably what he's going through right now.
I can imagine like
160.
And what's it like in Georgia where it's real humid, or Florida? I can only imagine what you guys down south are going into right now.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Thrash Metal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thrash Metal's like, can you guys blur your camera because I don't need to see Mancuda in high def. Yeah, listen, even my mother didn't want to see it in high def. Chad Becknell says it's really hot in Louisiana. Brother, I can only imagine. You know, the good news is I have a nice, cool, very chilled candy apple crisp Bang energy drink to keep me cool. So thank you, Bang, for keeping me nicely hydrated and cool today. Ah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Oh, well, hey, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, brother. Let's do a little roll call because we got a lot of great people in the chat today. Let's zip through them real quick. Let's go with Linny Lou and Mary, Chris Bevan, Halface, Brian Spalding, Crazy Cook 678, Vistalite 1972, Cobra Kai Platoon, Joe Hervey 84, Brian Spalding, who I almost blocked just scrolling. I'm sorry. I am such a fucking klutz. This is why it's called Tech More on Tuesday. The most simple tasks are hard when you're a buffoon, you see. Let's see. Gary Big G Thollander. Let's see. Thrash Metal and Fun Riffs. Eduardo Moreno Porto. John BL 5150. How are you, brother? Mr. Hellstorm 74. Janice Lala. Hey, Janice. Music Therapy Laz. Crazy Cook 678. Let's see. Chris. See, I hate when it gets repetitive. Bradeen Berglund. Mark Dillon. How are you, man? Rico B. Amanda Coombs. Ben Coombs. Nightbot. Alex R. Mark Dillon. Metal Soda. Hardwood Steaks. David Scher. Charlie S. Dwight Bailey. Thomas Santiago. Hugh Caldwell. Fruitcake Tony, my man. Matt Stewart. Bill Spruce.
Everyone.
It's like watching the Oscars when you're like, oh, come on. And they spend that 3 minutes they get just reading names. Okay, there's people I got to thank. All right, there's a bunch of people I got to thank. Okay, let's see. Mr. Hellstorm 1974, Dwight Bailey, Chris Bevan, Rico B, Thrash Metal and Fun Riffs, who gave me my first audition. Chad Bennell, Cobra Kai Platoon, Sean Silas, Rico B, Shauna Marie sings. Shauna Marie does all my makeup. Thomas Santiago. Steven Spielberg for being a huge inspirational. Eddie Van Halen for being a huge inspirational. And then the music starts playing.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
There isn't. The only one is like this one. That sort of works, kind of.
Yeah.
It's more like this.
Yeah, and then they send the host to like escort you off, and it's like,
Get back to your seat.
Sandra Picorni, your mom.
Give us back that fake award. You'll get yours in the mail in a month.
I know.
They sell those. When we were walking the streets of Hollywood, I remember we were looking at those.
You can buy
in one of those stores.
Yeah, if you want to be a real turd in the entertainment industry, they sell fake Oscars and Emmys in the souvenir shops along Hollywood Boulevard. So I can have it engraved and everything. I can put on my mantle basically a replica of an Oscar or an Emmy, because God knows my work's not going to get any of them. So like I can get like 3 Emmys, and some girl will come over and be like, oh my gosh, I knew you were on TV, but I didn't know. Yeah, well, I don't like to talk about it, but let's not even talk about it. This one says you were on a soap opera, All My Children. Well, yes, and I never watched it. Did you have a big role? Yeah, well, I got an Emmy. Let's look in the bedroom for some Oscars. Yeah, I'm desperate. So, oh boy. Yeah, no, you could get anything, and anything entertainment related in Hollywood you could get. Johnny and I walked by. It looked like a little army of Oscars on the shelf, And of course, some Indian guy is like, "What Oscar would you like to have won for Star Wars, maybe?" And I'm like, okay, yeah, my best actor award in Empire Strikes Back. I think Johnny was in The Godfather, right? Weren't you in The Godfather?
My Emmy says so.
Your Oscar says so.
Or my Oscar.
Your Oscar says. That would be funny if you got an Emmy, which is a TV award.
That's TV. Yeah.
Yeah, it was for Goodfellas. Did they make a series of that? What was the deal with that?
My Emmy would be for Burger King.
for greatest commercial ever, Johnny in his famous role. Cut. Perfect. Well done, Mr. Beane.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how Johnny got his start. Yeah. Vistalite 72 says, I got the Oscar one for my mom. What was your mom in? That'd be funny if you put like an Oscar for like a porno or something. You gave it to your mom. Here, mom, for your great performance in Cum Guzzlers 4. Here. That's great.
Oh my gosh. Did I mention this is a podcast also on Spotify
and on iHeartRadio and every other channel that's agreed to carry us by a terrible error on their own part.
Yeah, which after the show tonight, I'll be spending another 2 hours making that podcast. So thank you.
Yeah, let's Johnny. Next time you're out in Hollywood, we'll go to the stores and we'll ask if they have AVN awards. I think they're shaped like golden vaginas or something like that. For the pornos.
Actually, there is a Hustler store right there. They probably have those in there, I would think.
We got to go.
We walked right past it, remember?
I remember. I'm in there more than my own house. What are you talking about?
I know. We were walking by it, and you automatically went in.
Well,
and I'm like, where are you going? And he's like, it's just a habit.
It was a reaction. It was one of those impulses. Like, how morning, even when you're sleepy, you can have your eyes closed and you reach for your toothbrush and you just know where it is. Yeah. It's the same thing. I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard, instinctively, even casually talking. Blah, 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 blah. John, why are you going into the Hustler store? No, I don't know. I tripped. I almost fell in there. Perversions of the worst kind, of course. Let's see. Joe Hervey 84, my Jewish homie, wants to know, do I want to do a OnlyFans with him? Yeah, no, bring some oil. We'll rub our shafts together. Sure, why not? I mean, we'll do an OnlyFans, and we'll brand it Johnny Beane TV presents. And you'll have a big emblem of Johnny, like as the brand logo, like.
Yeah.
Just that face, that Beane face, that a Johnny Beane production. Metal Soda says John goes where everybody knows his name, like Cheers. Yeah, it's like Cheers. They all walk in. I walk into the Hustler store. They're all like Cheers to Norm. John! Mancuda! Oh, good.
Oh, my gosh. No, it's really hot.
Are we back on the heat? I thought we were talking.
Yeah, I can't see. My glasses are fogging up, man. I can't. I can't even see.
You want to combine them into one conversation, and we'll talk about steamy, swampy vaginas, or what? You want to do that?
Maybe later.
Of course, Paul's going to walk into the middle of this right now, and he's going to be like, "Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this, Sean? Ruining my career." I mean, yeah, this is a downgrade for Paul, definitely.
Yeah. So,
yes.
And anyway, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see everyone. Speaking of rising, insert joke here. Did you know that we were talking last week about that Rat commercial, that Geico commercial featuring the band Rat? Do you know they're actually not only is that song Round and Round back on the top 100, it's back in like the top 40. I think it's like number 20 on the charts now or something. It's getting so much airplay right now. It's mind-blowing. It's like even Rat's like, wow, we needed the money. I mean, we were like looking for food or something, and now it's like, our song's back on the air? Really? Yeah, really. What number is it at, Johnny? I think it was like 20. I looked a few days ago. How crazy is that?
Let's see. I'm looking. I'm looking.
Papa Blue.
It's kind of weird.
Papa Blue just said, "Mancuda, I seen a nurse so pretty when she took my blood pressure, they had to subtract 8." Nice.
Here we go.
And Mr. Hellstorm 1974 says, Rat is on the 2021 Kiss cruise also. Now, make no mistake, I don't know if that's going to go on, because every concert right now is just like a Vinnie Vincent concert. It's suddenly canceled. So, bands aren't showing up. But I don't know when we'll actually get back into the concert world. I mean, Tommy Lee of Motley Crue was talking online the other day and saying, you guys should see the big production, the stage show we have for the stadium tour, and it's incredible, and you never believe it. It's mind-blowing how big it is. It's stuff you've never seen before. You got to see it. And it's like, I hope we do at some point with, the way, social distancing is becoming the new norm. So, crossing fingers, guys, crossing fingers. And speaking of the Kiss cruise, look at how cool this shirt is. It's got everybody on it.
Everyone's there. Look
Everyone.
at that.
All 10 people that have ever been members are on this Kiss t-shirt. That's how much I love Kiss. So every era.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a real fan. That's a true fan. Well, I don't know if you said, you said you like every era, right?
I like every era.
Or they're just on the shirt. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I mean, obviously they're all different. You have classic Kiss era with the makeup, and then when Vinny, well, even after that, at the tail end of that, you can consider that another thing when Ace was kind of faltering out, and Bruce, Bob Kulick rather, was in there and filling in, and then you had
when
Vinnie Vincent came on. What'd you say?
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Bob Kulick, who we gave tribute to last week's show, the great Bob Kulick. And when Vinnie Vincent came on, and and then just era after era after era to where we are now, I love it. Rico B wants to know where I got the shirt. It was online. It was one of these, not quite authorized, but it was really cool because they had photoshopped a photo of Paul Stanley holding it up. So
that one.
I thought it was authorized. And if you guys go on Facebook, the photo. It's Paul Stanley, like,
they've used
holding up. Yeah.
The only thing they switch out of that picture is the head and the image on the shirt.
And the shirt, yeah.
It's the same guy in the blue shirt. It's like a blue arms holding, whatever it is. There's an Eddie Van Halen one. There's a Sammy Hagar one.
I thought it was authorized. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought it was, actually Paul saying, hey, this is, Kiss merch. I'm like, wow, that's like the coolest Kiss shirt I've ever seen. It's got all the guys. I've never seen Gene and Paul like get behind all the guys that aren't in the band anymore, because I'm thinking they must have to pay them some residual for this shirt, right? Well, no, they're still not behind all the old guys in the band. And yeah, so it wasn't authorized, but I ordered 2 of them. I liked it that much that I bought 2 of them. Because if something ever happened, I never wanted to be like, man, where do I get that shirt again? I never find it again. You know, I really dug the shirt. So,
yeah, well, as long as you got it, I guess, because
yeah,
I don't know. I wouldn't trust ordering from any of that. But apparently people do all the time. You know, and actually it is a major problem. Because I run a Van Halen group on Facebook, and you know, we get like 100 members like a day, you know, brand new. And so I'm starting to have to scroll through the member requests. You know, anybody that joined like Facebook today, I don't allow in.
Right.
Yeah, you know, and if the picture looks, you know, it's like, well, they don't really look like they'd really be a fan, and they just joined Facebook today. Nah, you know. But if they slip through though, their very first post is a bootleg shirt. That's what it always is. It's always
or click on here to see my nude pics and videos. That's half the friend requests I get every week.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm always kicking people out and deleting those posts. You know, seeing, you know, at least seeing the Van Halen bootleg stuff. You know, the shirts and.
Yeah, and Drew GS60 says he wants the Girls album T-shirt in its original format. Make no mistake, you can go on eBay and buy vintage shirts. You know, just look for your size, allow for
real ones.
Vintage, you know, yeah, you can buy them. They're on eBay. But like for the ones that suddenly come out, you know, look, new shirt, and it's that photo of someone's head on there, like Paul Stanley's, and it's like, you know.
You always know it because they have the same. They're always wearing they're holding up a shirt, but they have sleeves. It's always blue sleeves, you know. And like I said, it's Paul Stanley, it's Eddie Van Halen, it's Sammy Hagar. It's interchanged.
It's in that same house.
It's in the house. There's a guy in the background, you know. Can we find that? John BL, do you happen to have a screen cap of one of those ads? I'd like to show one now, just to show you guys. But if any of you guys are on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen them. They're always in there.
Yeah, and Brendan Buttcheeks, how are you, brother? Do whatever works, man, because I'm real happy with these shirts. I mean, nothing against Kiss. Obviously, I'm a huge fan. But if they don't make a little money on this shirt and I get a cool shirt.
I found the Gene one. I just found the Gene one.
This should be good. Yeah, post that up. Let's see.
I've never seen this one, but this is exactly what we're talking about. This is exactly it.
There it is.
Okay. You're always going to see the guy in the background. You're going to see the blue sleeve, you know? So all they do is they interchange the head and then, you know, whatever that shirt is in front.
And look how cool that shirt is. I almost want to buy that one too. You know what? If Kiss wants to stop bootlegging like that, if anyone from Kiss is listening, because, you know, we imitate Gene and Paul every week. If anyone from Kiss is listening, listen, if you guys want to stop that kind of bootlegging, hire that guy to design your shirts because he designs way cool merch. I'm just saying.
Where is this through? Through Wish. I don't know what that is, but 1440. What's the quality like of those shirts?
Well, I bought two because after one wash they fall apart. No. Actually, the quality's actually really good. You know, I've washed them over and over. I wear them a lot, and I mean they're good. I mean they're good. They're good so far. You know.
Mm-hmm. Should I click on this, John BL? John BL just
gonna get all sorts of spam.
Yeah, I'm afraid to actually click on one of these.
No, click on it. Come on.
Well,
it's not my computer. Go on. Yeah. Everyone else is doing it. Your friends are all doing it. Go on. Click on it. And yeah, Drew GS60, it is great marketing.
Let me see if I can find another one. But
no, they have really cool, you know, non-authorized shirts. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Oh no, Brandon Buttcheeks, believe me, click the links. Trust me, because there are more nude photos and videos available there. No, don't click the fucking links. Your computer will melt. I hate getting those spam. You know, you get friend requests. You know, I start looking up. All right, how do I know this person? Blah blah blah. Are they a fan of the show? Are they a fan of something I've done before? Is it a friend of a friend? Is it my mother and she doesn't know how to spell her name? What is it? You know? And when I look at the first post and it's always like, you know, click here for my new pics and videos. It's like, okay, delete.
Okay, I found another one. This is a Van Halen one this time. So it looks like there's another. That's a similar thing. That's not. I really don't think that he's not actually showing that, at least.
Oh well, you know what? That could be the same photo with Dave. I'm looking. Is that sleeve maybe colored differently, but it looks like the same photo?
I don't know.
But you know what? That's the gimmick, and that's such a cool gimmick, because if you don't think about it, guys like me buy the freaking shirt, and that's not a bad design either. You know, look, I don't care who I buy from. Okay, I'm not here to give Gene another couple of bucks. As much as I love them and support them, I'll fly their colors, whether it's colors from someone other than the original band that made them. I'm still cool with that, because I'm still showing my support for the band by flying their colors. And if it's a cool design that the band doesn't have available, what are my options? You know, I'm not going to buy shirts that I'm not going to wear. So it's like, you know, make no mistake. If it's a copy of a shirt I can get from the band, I will always buy it from the band. Just like I always buy the CD and support the band, like in a hardcore form, you know, insert joke here. But you know what I'm saying? Hey, Tessie Switch. Tessie Switch in the house. Hobo Roadie in the house. Sean Zimmerman in the house. A lot of people walking in as we're talking. Cameron Brown, how are you, brother?
Hey, Cameron. Anyway.
Yeah, but
I guess we're talking about bootleg shirts.
Yeah, well, it was starting with that. I mean, am I crazy in that if the band doesn't have that design, are you a bad person for buying a design the band doesn't manufacture? I mean, what do you guys in the chat think?
I think, well...
Are you in the chat? I asked the hey, Beane.
I am actually. I just typed something in there.
Oh, are you? Oh, okay. Then
yeah.
Then go ahead. It's also your show, so you go ahead.
Back in the day, you know, you go to a concert, and as you're walking out of the concert, you know, in the parking lot, there's always somebody selling a T-shirt
for $10.
You know, and it's always back in the day. It was always really, really bad quality. Maybe the shirt wasn't, but the print was always, you know, it was like sideways and maybe backwards, and
because they're doing them in the van in the parking lot.
You know, it was always weird. I don't know. Maybe the bootleg stuff has gotten better, you know, which it probably has.
That I've ordered, it's better.
Mm-hmm. But I mean the stuff that's in the parking lot, you know, as you're leaving the concert. Leaving the concert, yeah.
Yeah, because these guys know you'll never see them again. If you put on the shirt and the collar like pulls right off and you're like, what the you know, then you're like looking for the same guy and he's like he's over there in section D of the parking lot. You'll never catch him. No, look, I would do that too, because look, back in the day, all right, you know, it's the 80s. You're young, broke as fuck. You were lucky to scrape together money for that ticket, right? Probably paid for by your stripper girlfriend or something. And you know, just being there, and you're like, well, you know, I got to wear to school the next day some proof that like I went. So you want a T-shirt. Yeah. And there's, you know, T-shirts at $25, you know, on the wall inside the concert hall. But then you could find other ones and some okay designs in the parking lot from, you know, some Jamaican guy. And he's like, hey man, look, he's Van Halen, you know, because, you know, the A is like looking smeared like an O, you know, it's like Van Halen, man, Van Halen. Yeah, okay. How much? 15, 10. Okay. It's like, and then then you're wearing basically a tissue paper Van Halen shirt, into school
this
the next day.
Let's say you're leaving a concert. You're leaving a concert, and this is what you get in the parking lot.
What is it?
It's a really, really
my
cheap
God
bootleg Elvis shirt.
It's Elvis, but it's almost like it's made of a napkin. Look at that. Even the picture, the saving on ink by making the picture like from a slide or something.
Yeah, it's not even centered correctly. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, Sean Zimmerman bought one that said Tad Nugent. Yeah, Todd Nugent, Van Halen, Kiz. It's 2 Z's.
I don't know. The more I look at that shirt, the cooler it actually is.
It's Skid Poe, because the R didn't come all the way out.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Actually, I actually do have a Van Halen bootleg shirt. Let me grab it. Let me show you. This is exactly. Let's get rid of this.
That's what the doctor said to my mom, but she said I'm having the baby.
Oh,
yeah. Let's get rid of this.
Let me grab this shirt. I'll be right back. I'll show you.
Go ahead. I'll keep the show wholesome. Is he gone? All right. How many times can we drop the F-bomb? I want it to be like Hiroshima, where just the biggest F-bomb explosion ever. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's like, looking in the chat. Yes. Quentin James says cuss, Kuss. Tessie Switch says Skid Row. Shirt says Skid Mark. Yeah. Ario Speed Buggy.
Here's a perfect example. Okay, I don't know how much I paid for this. I got this at the Van Halen at the Balance 1995. This is the perfect example of a
bootleg
concert T-shirt right here.
Don't crack it.
Look at this thing.
Wow.
I mean, look at the print on there. It's terrible.
I can't. It's as blurry as my grandpa's vision.
It's terrible. And look at the back. look at the band member. Look.
At least you can make out the words Van Halen, even if you can't make out the kids.
Look at that. It's horrible. I mean, look at Eddie. What's up?
I can't. Eddie looks almost like a faceless smear.
Anyway,
and it's funny. The words of the cities weren't even written like that in real life on the authorized shirts. That's the guys in the parking lot writing it by hand. These are handmade shirts, man.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm guilty of buying one of these, but that was what, 30 years ago?
I'm guilty of buying a lot of those.
Look how huge it is, man.
That's what she said.
Anyway.
That's great. No, look, I mean, there were times, and a lot of times, you know what? I gave the band's merch guys the benefit of the doubt. I said, I'm going to go with whatever is the cooler design shirt. And I'd look at the merch and I'd be like, is there anything I want? Anything I like? No. All right, let me see what the parking lot guys had. And if the parking lot guys had a cooler design, I remember that at a Poison concert. There was a Poison that said liquor and poker, and it was like a playing card hand and a bottle of Jack, and it was like liquor and poker tour. And I was like, wow, that's way cooler than just like, the band members and the word Poison on the shirt at the merch place. So this one time I bought a bootleg Poison shirt. But it was like, look, I'm flying the band's colors. I'm a free walking ad in my high school or junior high school or whatever at the time. I'm a free walking ad for the band. Right now, I am a free walking ad for Kiss. And, they can't complain about that aspect of it, I mean, I'm sure if Paul was here right now, I'd be like, I really am disappointed in you because I know you like the band and we do it all for the fans, but is it too much to ask for the fans to do it back for us? And it's like, what do you mean, Paul? Well, I think you should buy one of our shirts right now. And, Gene, of course, would chime in and, Mancuda, I have a shirt here for you. $30 for a minimal fee. Yeah, I'm sure. But as it is, I'm flying your colors wherever I got this cool shirt. If you would have made this design, I would have bought it from you, but you didn't. I like it. That's it.
Oh, there's somebody else here. Hey,
did somebody say nominal fee?
It's like if you look in the mirror and say nominal fee 3 times, Gene Simmons appears and takes your dollar.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize for my tardiness. I'm not even sure we can use that phrase anymore in this world of overly PC. That's literally what we were talking about. I was having a meeting with my partner on the radio show.
Oh, your partner, the gay man, your partner.
Yes, yeah, my partner.
Your business partner. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We were talking about the idea that you can't talk about anything anymore without making a statement. Like, have you? I'm sure you and people in the chat. By the way, hi everybody. I'm Paul. Has anyone else gotten a ton of emails from companies announcing their position on racism?
Yes. In fact, every time I turn on a TV channel, it first comes up. Amazon Fire Stick supports Black Lives Matter. Hey, I do too. Great.
Yeah, is that something you have to announce to people? That's like saying to myself, I just would like to say for the record, I have and always will be anti-kicking puppies.
I didn't know that about you, but I'm pleased to hear that.
Yes, well, there was an incident. I'm not sure if it made the news out there in California, but there was an incident here in Arizona, in Phoenix, where the local Karen came in from a gas pump and was complaining that the gas pump wasn't working well and ended up in a racist rant back and forth with a Latina girl who had enough of it and basically cold cocked this chick in the face. And it
awesome.
was, and I'm not saying I support the action. I certainly understand what brought her to that. And it was all caught on video. So they've spent the last 12 hours here in Phoenix, interviewing the woman, interviewing the guy, and the gas station, which is a place called Super Pumper. I don't know if they have those in California.
Yeah, but it's a porn store.
Right, exactly. Super Pumper is what I wanted to do to the Latina girl, because when I saw her on TV, I was like, wow, that's a good-looking girl. But Super Pumper...
And she'll defend your honor.
Right, so there's... obviously she can smack somebody.
Yeah.
The Super Pumper thing was like, Super Pumper does not condone racism on any level. Well, that's great to know. Like, when I'm making a choice for where I want to go for multi-port gas companies, I can say, well, which one doesn't support racism? As if anyone does. Can you imagine if any company came out and said, just for the record, racism?
I look for those warning stickers on the pumps that say, do not light match, and we do support racism at this facility. Right. I look for those before I start pumping because, I care.
Right. Well, I'm going to, I hear something and I want to suggest this to you and to everyone watching this right now. Boycott Chinese food restaurants.
Yes.
They only serve one kind of food.
And that's discriminatory. And
it's absolutely discriminatory.
Agree with that.
The problem with boycotting the Chinese food restaurant is I want to boycott it again an hour later.
I had Trader Joe's version
supports racism
of you guys. Trader Joe's totally supports the whole social distance, everything. They only let like 5 people in the store at once, you know?
Really? Up by you?
Yeah.
They limit
It's great.
people. Down here in Hollywood, they limit people. There's a long line to get in, but not 5.
Well, maybe 6.
Imagine like the whole store is 5 people. It's like you'll be there like all night waiting to get in.
Well, just a little behind the scenes. This morning we left the show after we got off the air. We went to St. Mary's Food Bank, which is, as it sounds like, a food bank here in Phoenix. We're doing a big food drive for them on Saturday. And we went, and they are at the point, they've got the National Guard out there putting together food boxes for people who, in this country, it's obnoxious that we have people who go hungry every day. But they're only allowing 8 cars at a time through the line. Like they've got a line that goes out the door, down the block, around the corner of people who need food now because they have to make a choice between paying their rent or paying food because they haven't worked in 2 months, that kind of a deal. But they're only allowing 8 cars at a time. So not only are they social distancing and not allowing people out of their cars, they're limiting the amount of space that people are allowed to take up in their parking lot. I mean,
that's surprising because we have food banks here in LA County, and the lines are just long as you can see, but they're bumper to bumper. I mean, you're in your car. What harm are you threatening anyone else?
I don't know, but that's where we're at.
Oh, I was in the supermarket yesterday. I did my every 2-week shopping trip with, the mask and the whole 9 yards. And I had hand sanitizer, and I'm conscious of how close I'm, getting in people's space now. And it was packed. I mean, there were a lot of people there. I mean, yeah, we're all socially staying 6 feet apart from each other, but there were a lot of people buying food.
So that's why I'm late.
All right. Well,
I don't know what you guys have been talking about. I apologize.
Nothing. We've just been sitting here. We've just been sitting here for 40 minutes. We
were just waiting. We thought
quietly.
You would come immediately, and we're like, Jesus, what are we going to talk about?
That's
Paul's not here.
Said.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, no, we've talked. We're on bootleg T-shirts right now. Have you ever bought a bootleg T-shirt at a concert?
Yep, $10. AC/DC Fly on the Wall tour. It fell apart after the 3rd wash.
This one is holding together very well. This Everybody from Kiss tour. It's holding together very well.
That's not an officially licensed piece of merchandise.
Yes, exactly. We did that joke too.
I figured you would.
No, I mean, it's not one that I got in a parking lot. It's one I mail ordered, but it's not from Kiss. But I'm flying their colors. I'm supporting their band. And I said, if they made this design, I would absolutely buy this from Kiss or whoever.
Did you talk about the phenomenon on Facebook? Did you bring that one up where
the holding the shirt?
Yes.
We showed that photo.
We showed one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Did you see Billy Sheehan, who I believe Johnny has had on his show?
We have had him on the show.
Oh, yeah. Billy Sheehan. I remember Billy Sheehan actually shared that and said, hey, just so you know, because there was one that was like Billy Sheehan bass player T-shirt, because there's some sort of an algorithm and a piece of software that will basically marry a copyrighted image to that spot and try and make it seem like it's an authorized piece of merchandise. But Billy Sheehan shared that and was like, hey, there's no way I authorize this in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's got Billy like with a thumb in his mouth, holding up a bass. That wasn't really him, I guarantee that wasn't him.
Sink your teeth into that. Sad boy.
Yeah, so
yeah, no, I agree with you. But you take it to another level. Do you buy bootleg music? You're damn right you do. But if Van Halen puts out the Us Festival on CD, I'll buy it. But until then, I'll buy an illegal version. I've got this whole shelf right behind me is all what I like to call recordings of questionable origin.
I won't buy recordings that are bootlegs of actual recorded merch that I can buy from the band. I won't support that. But I will, you're right. I will buy a live concert. I will buy an import or, pseudo import, whatever that is, something not available from the band. Extra merch, extra songs. Sure.
Here you go. One of the better albums of its era that I can't find on CD.
You can't even.
It's not. It's Dangerous Attraction from Lion.
Okay.
It's not a CD?
Doug Aldrich.
And a friend of mine said, "Well, I'll burn you a copy."
There it is.
That I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do something like that and pay money for it, because that to me is denying the artist their royalty for a produced copyrighted piece of material. I would never copy this, and I would never sell it, and I would never try. But him giving me a copy of this is exactly like the anti-bootleg stance. I shouldn't have it. In fact, I should destroy it. I won't. I'll do it when we get done.
Yeah, just mail it to me. I don't have that.
Right.
One.
Because I can't find the actual album on CD for like less than $100 or something stupid like that. But on the other hand, if I want to get like Led Zeppelin live at the Fillmore East or Fillmore West in 1969, that's not available. I can't buy it. And Slash once said, "Hey, I bootleg too. I buy bootlegs too, because if it was something that I could make money off of, I would push the band to release it officially. I already own everything that the band puts out." So my guess is you already have a dozen or so Kiss t-shirts and everything the band has released and all of the things that I have put my name on for a nominal fee. You own all of that stuff, so you bought something that the band itself doesn't offer. If the band offered it, you'd buy it.
We put out a lot of merchandise for the fans. We do that for the fans.
How many people out there like a bootleg t-shirt?
I like a bootleg.
I was made for printing t-shirts in the parking lot, selling them for $10.
Oh, baby, let's put the Beane bootleg.
Diabetes. Oh, sorry, that was last week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy.
Relax. Don't do it when you want to eat sugar.
Oh.
Diabetes. Oh, no,
Yeah.
you know what I was thinking of after we got off the air last week? Diabetes, 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 diabetes,
Yep.
diabetes, diabetes. Oh, diabetes.
Rock me
Oh,
diabetes.
man.
Diabetes.
Well, speaking of bootleg
Diabetes.
shirts,
Diabetes. Diabetes. Gotta give me diabetes. Gotta give me diabetes. Sorry.
did you buy that
Wanna rock me
diabetes
diabetes.
t-shirt? That's
You know
a
what?
bootleg, that's a bootleg shirt.
I went looking for the diabetes action figure, the Wilford Brimley action figure, and I couldn't for the life of me find it. What it was made by a custom figure maker, and the image got all over the internet, but I can't find any for sale. I think he only made a handful of them. So it's like one of those, good luck and try to find it. If anyone could send me a link to my Facebook where I could actually buy that figure, please do. Go to Jonathan Mancuda on Facebook and just send me the link to that, because I'd love that Wilford Brimley action figure.
Yeah, if you find a link to it, send it to me, paul@neanderpaul.com, and I want it, because I definitely want to get it.
Uh-huh. But that's crazy though too, because that's a bootleg, but that's a bootleg from a TV commercial.
Well, maybe at some point the family of Wilford Brimley will smarten up and realize that there's a revenue stream there that they could take advantage of.
So many people miss that. It's unbelievable.
I didn't know he was even still alive. I couldn't believe that.
Scambot Terminator wants to know, are we trying to bring back glam metal? Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good. I have no problem with that.
I'm good. Yes.
There's nothing wrong with glam metal.
No,
Would you rather we were trying to bring back new metal?
Yeesh. Yeesh. Ew.
That's what we need.
Disgusting.
Yeah, Charlie S. That shirt. That is an extra large. My bootleg Van Halen shirt.
You look like you'd swim in that thing. That looks like a triple X.
The colors are. I'm sure the colors are so off, and the graphic are. Hey kids, 18 yet? No. Hey Johnny.
XL.
So, who wants to see a man naked?
Oh, that's nasty.
Oh, that's nasty.
Nasty.
Nasty. Who doesn't love Family Guy? God, I love them. Yeah, Ben Tom says shitty colors. Johnny, show that shirt again real quick.
Yeah, the colors are awful.
That looks like someone printed that in their period. Look at that fucking thing.
Yeah,
it's
that looks like
smeared mess of shit.
You know, like in shop class when they were like in graphic arts where they would have you do your first silk screen, you would take the green shit on there and then cut out the stencil and then run the one color silk screen over it. That's exactly what that is. They basically, it's one color and white. That shirt cost maybe $1.15 to make. And I bet you spent $15 on it.
You know, it's funny. Remember,
yeah.
Remember when E.T. came out and everyone was like really high on the movie E.T. because it was
Never
like such
seen
a, you know, you've never seen E.T.?
Nope.
Well, look down and you can see VD. No,
E.T. the extra testicle, right?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. I have a lot of balls, so you can check mine out. No, but you remember how popular E.T. was when that movie came out. So I wanted an E.T. t-shirt to wear to school.
Nerd.
And my mom's like, we don't have the money for that. And I'm like, Mom, please go and find me an E.T. t-shirt. So my mother goes to the flea market and she comes back with this bootleg E.T. t-shirt. And it wasn't like an image like taken from the movie or the movie poster or something. It was someone basically had, for the stencil, hand-drawn a version of E.T. And it looked like a hammer more than E.T. It looked literally like a hammer with the nostrils and eyes, and it said
like
E.T. on
video
it.
game on Atari is what it looked like.
Yes. Like horrible, smeared, miserable looking, hammer-headed fucking ghetto E.T. And my mother's like, here, it's E.T. I'm like, that's not E.T. And she's like, look, it says E.T. right on it. Look, E.T. Now you wear this shirt. And I'm like, so I go to school, of course, thinking like, you know, all right, maybe everyone will think I'm cool because I'm wearing an E.T. t-shirt and it's so relevant right now. And everyone and their mother's like, where'd you get that ghetto ass E.T. shirt? Man, did you make that shit? Did you make that arts and crap? You ain't got no E.T. SVD. Look at that man Kuda's wearing some stupid shirt. And everyone in their mom, I never wanted to wear this fucking shirt again. And everyone pointed at, even the teacher's like, so what's on your you know, and it's like, you know, everything went wrong. And my mother's like, I paid a lot of money for that shirt. You better wear that shirt.
That's like when you tell your mom you're into Kiss. And so for Christmas, she decides she's going to get you an album. And she goes into the store and she sees Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me from The Cure. And she brings it home to you and says, see, I heard you like that Kiss band, because she saw Kiss somewhere in there. And you're like, oh. And what do? You smile because you don't want to disappoint your mother. You're like, oh, thank you, you stupid bitch. How could you have given me this piece of shit? They're not even close to the same. Paul Stanley is nowhere near as masculine as Robert Smith. Can you not do this to me? Ma, don't give me this garbage. This is Thank you, Mom. I love you.
And mom and dad wonder now that like the shit's hitting the fan with them getting older and like, you're not going to put us in a home, are you? Yeah.
I'm the t-shirt.
You kidding? It's not, it's even worse than that. I mean, this thing was, I wish to God I would have saved this thing for my childhood. I remember like, you know, when we moved, I donated it to like, you know, even Goodwill probably is like, give it back to the people, you know, because it's like that one at least that you're showing is kind of funny, cool, you know, tongue-in-cheek retro.
Well, kitschy, yeah.
Yeah, because we all remember that you know, crazy video game, but like it's intentionally bad. The one I had was just someone like, you know, taking a magic marker and doing the best to freehand ET and, you know, taking advantage of, you know, a cheap Jewish mother. And, you know, well, all right, I'll give you $7 for this shirt. I'm asking 10.
I forget. You're negotiating for your knockoff t-shirts. But that's I will tell you, we almost got arrested in Memphis. Mid-90s Metallica, I'm going to say Reload tour. And we were giving away station shirts outside of the Pyramid in Memphis that said, and I probably have one somewhere. It's, you know, 92.9 MFS welcomes Metallica. Well, you know, and they were free and they didn't have the Metallica logo on it. It just had Metallica, the name written on it. And we were giving them away at like 5:00 right before the concert. And we only had 92 of them made because we were cheap and it was a radio station was 92.9. We couldn't make 93. We had to make 92. So we're standing at the corner and we show up, and we start opening up the box to give out the, we ordered 100 shirts and the staff took the other 8. So we start handing out the t-shirts, and out of nowhere come 4 or 5 unmarked police cars. And guys come out and they've got their radios. And we're like all up against the van, and they're like going through our material. They were going to seize everything. Now, we had already run out of everything by the time they were showing up. But they were the bootleg squad, and essentially every band does this. They have a group of security that circles the venue and looks for people selling bootleg t-shirts. Fun fact, our friend Van Halen actually had a deal with bootleggers where they would allow them to sell the bootleg t-shirts if they got a cut.
Smart as fuck.
Back when Dave was with the band, I don't believe it happened when Sammy was with the band, but when Dave was with the band, they were like, okay, we're selling our official t-shirts inside for $35 or whatever they were back then, back before t-shirts got ridiculously expensive, as if $35 for a $2 shirt is a reasonable price to charge. But they were like, okay, we're selling our shirts inside for $35. You can sell your shirts outside for $20, but we get $5 of it. And that's how they got away with it. They cut a deal with the bootleggers around the venue so that they didn't shut them down, which is why certain shows you can see a guy standing literally right outside the entrance to the arena or the box office holding up a bootleg shirt going, shirt, $10, because they've already cut a deal. Whoever the bootleg network is in the neighborhood, somebody on the touring crew has cut a deal, and they get a kickback. Smart
as fuck. Because you know what? You're not going to stop these people. You're not going to stop them. If they're going to the trouble to making shit bootleg shirts by the boxes and driving them out there and risking getting arrested over this shit, they're gonna be around. I've seen guys running with shirts and cops chasing them. You're not gonna get away from it.
Right.
No, I agree, man. Totally.
But yeah, we almost got there's a video of it somewhere. There was a local cable access show, a kid that was doing his own sort of Wayne's World thing in Memphis. I forget his name, but if I can find it, I'll try and get it. I'll convert that video. I've got one of those VHS to DVD conversion things. Mm-hmm. I'll convert it and send it over to Johnny, and I'll send you the video of us with the police in front of us and everybody, and them on the phone with Metallica security trying to get us, trying not to get arrested. It's like 25 years old now.
But hello, Lars.
Hey, it's Lars. I need some way to support my cocaine habit. Remember, this is Lars, mid-90s Lars.
Yeah.
And my cocaine habit. What? They're selling shirts? Are they better than Load? They are. Okay, as long as we get a piece. And
Load
for the purposes of this impression, Lars will be played by Gay Paul Stanley.
Load was a very appropriate name for that Metallica album. It was totally a load.
Right. No, and we used to that was one of the few times we were incorporating the phrase "take my load" on the radio. We did a "Take My Load" weekend where we were giving away copies of the album. So 92.9 MFS presents a "Take My Load" weekend. Imagine that in Memphis, Tennessee.
Metal Soda says, I remember breaking my load and reload CD because Lars and the Napster thing. Yeah, Lars and the Napster thing was another fun example of
he was right.
He was right, but here's the thing. You're not going to quelch it. You're not. So if you know what's going on, figure something out, And this was the band that used to let people record their concerts live.
Right. I'm trying to find it. Metallica probably wouldn't have a record deal if it weren't for that tape going around.
There it is.
The early Bay Area thrashers. That, when it was on cassette, is part of the reason why Metallica got a record deal.
Yeah, because they didn't have any other exposure.
Right. It was tape trading through the underground. So the idea that, but don't get me wrong, he's right. That what Lars was bitching about was exactly what we had said earlier when I pulled out that Lion CD. There's a difference between that Bay Area Thrashers CD, which I have no problem buying because Metallica never put it out.
Right.
There's a difference between that and buying a copyrighted work. I would never buy a pre-recorded somebody bootleg version of Load or Master of Puppets or whatever it is, a bootleg version of that stuff. I'd buy a European pressing, on a different record label, that kind of deal, because it's already been, the band's been compensated for it, usually. But buying a live thing or buying a bootleg t-shirt that the band doesn't offer, I don't have a problem with that. If the band were smart, they would cut a deal with the bootlegger like Van Halen did back in the 1984 tour and or commission whoever designed that t-shirt graphic that you're wearing, John, and buy the graphic, the design for it, because somebody could claim a copyright to it, although it'd be a fun court case to watch going on in court, taking an original piece of art using a band's copyrighted faces and logo. It'd be a fun thing to sit back in the gallery and watch trying to be debated and decided. But if the band loved it that much, they'd buy it, incorporate it, and use it. And that's been done too. Metallica bought bootleg material from fans to put out the Cliff 'Em All video. Jimmy Page has bought bootlegs to put together some of the Led Zeppelin DVD.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's that good, there's a potential arrangement that you can cut.
Yeah, if they're smart and they're able to reach the guy. I mean, look, some of these guys are just like on the street. They're doing it in their backyard. You know, it's like,
Right,
okay,
exactly.
You're not really going to find, Joe Blow and in his yard. Oh, you found me. No, but
yeah, but there was like, what was it? Blind Pig Records, or there's been a couple of those like bootleg label companies that you're well aware of. You know who they are.
Yeah.
You know,
and again, like you said, I said it before, I'll say it again. If it's something that I can buy, and I've said this before on the air, I've gone and spent a fortune finding rare 80s pressings of like Hurricane and Killer Dwarves and, certain ones that just, had such a low print run that I had to find it. There you go.
I think I paid.
Yeah, the Time Coast album.
One. I probably paid close to $100 for this.
I bought that out of the gate, so I had that early. Or I had it on cassette. I bought the cassette version of it out of the gate. I still bought that in the 80s when you could still get it.
Yeah. So, but I probably paid close to $100 for this. Now, that said, the artist didn't get dime one of that money.
No.
But they already got compensated for it. They already got compensated for it. So it's not like I bought something that was being produced illegally. This was at one point an actual version. But you'll pay. I would rather buy the official version of something if it's available at all costs. That said, if there was a live show from this or alternate mixes of this that were never released and are not, like a live version, not something that was, that they had to pay studio time for, but if there was a live show from 1982 or 83 when they were Mickey Rat, I'd buy it.
Yeah. Or unused tracks. Yeah. No, and that's why I buy a lot of Japanese imports for that B-side that was available in Japan that I can't get here in the States. Even if it's one cool track from certain bands, I want to have that cool track.
I'm fairly certain that White Lion didn't make a dime off of this. Somebody bought it because Deadline, who's a legitimate record label, more or less, Deadline paid for it. I don't know where they got the audio from. I don't know if they bought it from Vito or if they bought whoever owned the publishing or the masters of the material that's on this disc. It's not a bootleg.
No, it's not.
So, but I'm fairly certain that Mike and Vito probably got their money in advance when they sold the publishing rights to this and said, well, it's not worth anything because Atlantic didn't put it out. So I'll take half a loaf over nothing. And so they got a piece of it.
We were talking, speaking of Rat, we were talking, hey, Seamus Lavery. We were talking that Rat is now on the charts.
Yeah.
Rat is on the top 40 charts. I think do you know this, Paul? Is it number 20 now?
It's something, it was like 23 or 24. It was somewhere in the top 25. I don't think it made top 20 yet, but it was like top 24, top 25, something like that.
I didn't see it in the top 20.
But it's a different
version of the song.
Yeah, not only that, yes, because they don't own the publishing rights to the original. In fact, Atlantic just put out last year a box set, one of those little clamshell boxes with all the original Atlantic albums, except for the Time Coast one, which I'm sure everybody's pissed off that wasn't included because that's the only reason to buy that box set. Anybody that really loves Rat, or maybe I take that back, anybody that loved Rat probably already owned their catalog to that point. Credit to Atlantic Records for saying, hey, there's a commercial, Rat is in it, people are going to want them, and putting together that box set. But I think it's a new version of the song, and the criteria for being in the top 20 now is different than it was back when, because they do digital downloads. Like it takes a certain amount of digital downloads to equal a physical copy sold now. So it's a different criteria. It's a little, I think
different math.
I think it's easier to get into the top 25 than it used to be, because top 20 used to be based on sales versus streams and downloads.
Yeah, it's a whole different format, and there's a different way of calculating, who pays for what on, on Spotify or whatever at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Apple Play.
Hugh Caldwell asks is music as we know today, and is it dead? No, it's not dead. It's just it's morphed, and music will always be around. There'll always be an avenue for people to find what they're looking for, and there'll always be good bands out there.
Yeah, who owns the rat rights now? Is it Blotzer or is it Warren? Are they still battling over this?
The rights to the name,
the rights to the publishing. Is it
Warner Chappelle? No, I think it's Warner Chappelle. I think they get a piece of it. I think the corporation gets a piece of it. It's a matter of who's in control of the corporation now, which I believe is Juan, Warren, and Steven. I think Blotzer has been adjudicated as no longer having a vested interest in the corporation. But Warner Chappelle, I think, still owns the publishing rights to it. That's why that box set came out.
Hey, any exposure for Rat, because I really like them, is great. I do wish Warren would step back into the band. I don't see it happening based on, what we've gone over the last few weeks that he said, and no interest and blah, blah, blah. But look, stranger things have happened. We told
if Dokken can get back together, then friggin' Warren can get back in.
Slash and Axel, Dave and Eddie,
the Eagles.
It's all possible. The Eagles. Speaking of which, they were talking to Eddie Ojeda last week in an interview, and he was saying that even though they said, at one point, Twisted Sister got back together for years at one point, and then just ended, even though they said they'd never do it again. And Eddie's, happy on his own. And Dee's obviously got a lot of stuff going on. Eddie said, look, all it takes is someone to make the right phone call and offer the right money, and he'd be in.
JJ says he wouldn't. JJ says he doesn't regret any of that decision.
I want to see the money offered and then hear him say no. What does JJ have going on?
Well, he used to be a manager. He was sucking off the Seven Dust tit for a long time, which, by the way, not the most fertile ground on the face of the earth. As much as I love Seven Dust, they just have never been what they should be. They're the best, one of the best of that genre of music that they do. But JJ used to be their manager. And I think he was managing bands for a while or working for a management company. And I think he's financially set. I think he's one of those guys that was smart with his money and doesn't need to work, and more power to him. I remember D did, do you remember D Snyder's SMFs when it was just him and AJ Pero?
Sure.
Went out and did a thing. I think
rest in peace, by the way, for AJ.
Right. AJ was awesome.
Really nice guy.
D, who I've met on several occasions and is smarter than he ever gets credit for, sometimes too smart for his own good, by his own admission. D is a perfectionist when it comes to singing. He is a very, very adamant proponent of being able to pull it off. And he's getting older, and he says physically he doesn't feel good the way he did. And, D was very, very mobile and very, very aggressive. And Twisted Sister shows, if you've never seen an old Twisted Sister show from the late 70s, early 80s, they were fun physical events. It was great. It was back when a frontman had to be a frontman, and D was a great frontman.
Really?
He's saying now, look, I'm old. I've got back issues. I've got joint issues. I don't want to go out there and do it half-assed, which I respect. He doesn't want to go out there. He said there are some bands, and I think he was referring to Kiss when he said it.
Probably.
He said there are some bands who just go out there and stand in place. Bands that used Van Halen too, that used to go out there and run all over the stage and were, balls of energy. They don't do that anymore. He goes, and that's not what I remember. I don't want to be that band that goes out there and just bangs through our two hits. And I love the fact that he points out that they had two hits. bangs through our 2 hits and the other assorted songs and half-asses it, which I respect. I would rather see a band not reunite than do it shitty. Well, if Twisted Sister wants to step back, then by all means, they've certainly overachieved when it comes down to it.
I don't think I think he's underestimating himself, because I forget when, but I heard his vocals not that long ago. And he was still, I mean, again, you're never going to be what you were when you were 20. And he's one of those raspy singers, you know, that really belts out of the throat rather than the diaphragm.
He's a countertenor.
Yeah. And, you know, that's hard to keep up without getting nodules in your throat. But I still think he could pull a decent show, because you got guys like, and Eddie Ojeda even brought this up, you got guys like The Who that are still touring. And they said for the last 40 years, we're done. We're over. This is our farewell. This is our farewell. This is our farewell. And they're still doing it, and not even half-assed. They're still doing it good. The Stones.
But respectfully, the Stones and The Who, the expectation of those bands changed decades ago. Because the Who and the Stones were not sort of pigeonholed into having the big hair and the makeup and the outlandish, live performance. Roger Daltrey, as great a frontman as he is, still not as mobile as Dee Snider was. You know what I mean? Like, Dee Snider's ran all over the stage and
that's
and
an 80s
around.
frontman. That's an 80s frontman.
And I think that's what you're paying for. Does anybody want to see, I use the Red Hot Chili Peppers as a great example of that. When the Red Hot Chili Peppers were in their prime and doing amazing shit, it was when they did the Abbey Road EP, and they're walking around naked with socks on their shit. Does anybody want to see a 65-year-old Anthony Kiedis walking around with sock on his junk?
At some point, no.
At some point, you have to realize there's something pathetic about a 70-year-old guy going out there dressed like Dee Snider, although he looked like a 70-year-old Bette Midler in 1979.
Yeah.
Except she has nicer tits.
Well, yeah, they're on the ground, but they're much nicer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And today they're probably frying like eggs on the ground, like frying. Frying like the eggs they look like. Frying like the eggs they look like. Let's see. Blank Palette says Twisted Sister would do another album. Don't believe rumors. I know someone who played on Dee's last album. Dee just went on tour last year and made an album. Dee's very active. But to get the whole band back together, minus AJ, of course, to get the whole band back together, you really got to get the 2 guitarists. You really got to get Dee. And I think, again, Eddie said for the right phone call, he would be in. And that probably would inspire Dee to say, well, if the other guys are interested, I could still perform. I'm still, in some good form at least. I could see that. I could see that happening. It's out there now. Now that it's out in the universe, now that once you hear one voice saying, if people called me, now it opens the door for people to start getting the gears going and thinking, that's not a bad idea. He would be in. I wonder if he's in. Could we get him? And would those 2 be persuasive to him? I mean, that's what happened with Guns N' Roses. That's what happened with Dokken. That's, Van Halen.
You got to ask yourself, do you need the aggravation? Dee doesn't need the aggravation because he owns the publishing to Twisted Sister and licenses We're Not Going to Take It for every commercial and shit that goes around. So if he says to himself, okay, I can make, let's say $10 million. I don't know if that'd be a huge figure, but I can make $10 million by going out on the road for the next 9 months, playing 4 nights a week and busting my ass in 2,500 seat halls, or maybe playing a couple of festivals and shit. Or I can make $8 million just by licensing We're Not Going to Take It. And oh, by the way, I don't have to leave my house. I'm 70 years old. There's a certain thing that you'd be willing to do for a certain amount of money, the return on investment, when you're 25 versus when you're 65. And if you've got a steady flow of income, if you can make $8 million a year, just sitting home, licensing the song that you wrote 40 years ago, at some point you sit back and go, I don't need it. So why would I do it?
But it's not just the money. There is a rush from having the fans in a stadium. Look, Paul Stanley, as old as he is, he's still very physically active on that stage.
Sure he is.
He's doing his walks, his jumps. He's, he's doing his whole swinging thing. I mean, the whole, on the tight ropes, and he's very, very active. I mean, they still put on, even with the dubs of the voices, coming in the backgrounds, they still put on a very physical show, much less for an older bunch of guys. I could see Twisted Sister, missing the crowd, the fans, the stadiums, and watching guys like Motley Crue and Def Leppard and Joan Jett. Now you feel left out, and you hear Europe's coming back, and all these other guys are doing these big festivals and stuff. It's like, if they're doing it, we kind of feel left out. We're as big as them, and it's attractive.
But D gets that rush going out by himself. He's put out a couple of records since Twisted split up. D gets
it's not all the same though. It's not the same.
What do you mean it isn't the same? He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to split the money 5 ways.
You tell me that D Snyder on his own would get on the stadium tour versus Twisted Sister as a name getting on the stadium tour bill. It won't happen.
But does the stadium tour bill pay enough for D to leave his family at 65 for the next 8 months and live in hotels and on the bus and the aggravation that comes with it? I'm not saying they wouldn't do it. I'm saying that's the process, the process. You sit back and go, all right, we're going to get 25 minutes to play or 35 minutes to play. We're not going to play for an hour and a half, which, by the way, is a positive, because when you're 70 years old, playing for an hour and a half can be tough after about minute 36. But do we want to be fourth on the bill? Do we want to deal with the assholes that we're on the bill with? And make no mistake about it, touring with Motley Crue is probably an exercise in patience and frustration, because they are divas to the highest order and treat everybody around them like shit.
So I've heard.
Yeah. So do you really want to deal with all of that stuff for $25,000 a show, of which you take home about $12,500, because people don't realize the band's guarantee they get to walk away with about 40 to 50% of that, which is still fantastic money. But when you've already got fantastic money, when you're already licensing your material, is it really worth it for your 1/5 cut of $12,000 a night, 4 nights a week, to be away from your family when you're already set? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying that's the thought process when you're in your 60s versus when you're in your 20s. When you're in your 20s, you sit back and you say, well, shit, yeah, I'll take $800 a night or $1,000 a night to do my thing 4 nights a week. That's $4,000 a week. I'll take that.
Well, speaking for KISS, I mean, we just do it for the fans.
Yes,
we do it for the fans at a nominal fee.
Yeah, clearly, there's a reason why we go out every night. We do it because it's the legacy of the band, and the fans demand it for $375 a ticket.
If the fans stopped demanding it, I would just rather be home. I would just be sitting home, but I get phone calls all day. Paul, you got to come out because the fans are demanding it. So that's what I do.
One of the things people they fail to realize is we are a very powerful and attractive band. It's the greatest show on earth. It's always been the greatest show on earth, and we deserve to be compensated as such.
Because they wanted the best, and we bring the best for the fans. How many of you out there are going to buy a T-shirt today?
Yes, Crowbar points out it's Mike Tyson. I just want to come out here and say that I think the idea that Gene would do this for a nominal fee is ludicrous. Although I will quote Mike Tyson on Gene Simmons. I want to eat his daughter.
I want to eat Gene's daughter too. I got to admit.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you.
I know
nice
Gene.
Chianti and some fava beans.
Gene will walk up behind me at NAMM and be like, "Mancuda, may I have a word?"
Where is John Mancuda? Bring him to me.
Tall, buffoonish, pink hat.
I don't understand why he's wearing a pink hat. We invented the pink hat. I'm not sure you knew that.
I'm looking over. I see him, Gene. I see him. He's down in row E.
Row E. How much does that podcast pay? He must have sold out to Bang Energy Drink.
Woo-hoo! Bang Energy Drink.
I want to bang my daughter.
What's this? Sophie, 16. Gene says it's not okay. Sophie, 16. Gene will beat Mancuda to a pulp.
I'm almost senile.
Gene will be really funny when he's senile. Could you imagine that? when Gene actually starts losing his mind, you know, he'll go into some diner and be like, "I'd like the best looking oatmeal you have."
I would like some eggs over easy and something with not too much lactose in it.
I get gas. It gives me gas. I gotta drink lactate milk. Yeah.
You show us everything you cook. I'm going blind, so I can't look.
Oh, didn't Paul Stanley actually do a Folgers commercial?
Yes.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh, that's a winner. Bring up a photo of that.
Is it Paul Stanley for like General Foods International Blend?
I remember that sailor, Jean-Luc.
For those special moments, Paul Stanley for International Blend Coffee.
There was this sailor in Paris one night.
You know what sucks is when Paul sees this, and he will, any chance I have of interviewing that band is gone.
You know, Paul, I'd be interested in doing your show for a nominal fee, but I saw that piece of shit you did with Mancuda.
We were gonna come on Mancuda's show, but then I watched it. Everybody gonna leave their seat. Get up. Doctor says I can't eat red meat. Gotta take care of my colon. I'm older. Yeah. There he is. Look how beautiful a man he is.
You call a guy to read the menu.
Woo-hoo, black coffee.
That's Paul Stanley. I never saw this.
That is Paul Stanley. This is a winner. This is a winner. Guys, go in the audience in the chat. Go on YouTube.
Shit.
Go on YouTube at one point and look for Paul Stanley. What is it? Folgers or Brim or
Yeah.
what was it?
Paul Stanley Folgers.
Folgers.
Is he wearing the puffy shirt from Seinfeld? What the fuck is he wearing there? He's wearing like the Chinese peasant shirt that Bruce Lee wore in that first movie where he was the waiter. What the hell is Paul doing over there? And what's up with that background? Do you really think that's Paul Stanley's kitchen?
In the sunshine, where is his kitchen on the face of the sun?
You know, when I wake up in the morning and I want to just a hot cup of steaming fluid in my cup, I stand in front of a green screen.
I love it. I sure wish I had some peak creams to dunk in this. I love those cookies.
I like my mocha handmade.
You know, it's got to be funny. Like in 10 years, Paul's got to grab for his cup of coffee and realize his dentures are in there. Wrong cup. Oh, man. We love Kiss. We really do.
Yeah, Ben Tom.
That is indeed a Kiss licensed puffy shirt. On the back, it's a picture of Ace and Peter that says, "Would you like fries with this?"
I love that. Crowbar says it looks like a Michael Bolton video. It really does.
It does, yeah. There's no doubt about that.
Papa Blue
Kiss coffee with it for a nominal fee.
You know, I mean, Paul probably took the money he made from that Folgers commercial and opened those fucking Kiss coffee shops, which you can find. I think there's one in LAX, isn't there?
Or that Kiss wedding chapel that's in Vegas. That's a fun one.
The Kiss mini golf. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you know what that is? The Kiss mini golf is basically a scaled down version of, you remember back in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a proposal for a Kiss theme park. I don't know if it was in Japan or China, but they were literally going to open up like Kiss World or some stupid shit like that. And God love whoever the business manager went up to Gene and said, "Gene, You come up with a lot of great ideas. I do, don't I? No, this is not a good one. Don't do this. Don't do this.
My favorite ride there was the Kiss guitarist bounce, because they just send Vinnie Vincent in there and just he's out, and then
that ride was always broken down though, because the ride was never open.
The Vinnie Vincent go round.
Yeah, Blank Howard points out, Gene says they'll make a show to replace them, just like the supergroup show. I know. I actually, if you go to my website, here we go, cheap plug, neanderpaul.com, if you scroll down in the section that is KDKB, which was the station I used to work at in Phoenix, there's the story, the headline is, Gene Simmons is rich, just ask him. Listen to that piece of audio. And one of the last questions I asked him, this is now 12, 15 years ago, which was, so is there any chance to franchise Kiss where nobody in Kiss will be in Kiss? He goes, some of those things are already in place. Of course they are. Like you knew they would be. He's been planning to franchise that thing like Menudo for the past 20 years.
And he's smart to do it. I mean, make no mistake. You know, they're characters. It's just like Superman and Batman for Warner Brothers, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. You have had how many Supermans and Batmans in that costume? Or Spider-Man for Marvel? Pick your favorite hero in the movies. Yeah, you've had like 10 different Batmans. You're going to have 10 different, spacemen and 10 different Star Childs. And, that's the way it's going to go.
For those people that think it can't be done, I submit for your approval, James Bond. They never thought anybody would be able to replace Sean Connery until Roger Moore did it. And they said, well, nobody's going to replace Roger Moore. Then Pierce Brosnan did it. They go, well, nobody's going to replace Pierce Brosnan until Daniel Craig did it. I mean, the big argument these days is who's the best Bond of all time, Sean Connery or Daniel Craig? If you couldn't think about taking somebody to, replace a fictional character, then we would not be where we are today. Which brings us to the stupid idea of bringing back Elmer Fudd without a fucking gun.
I don't know what you're talking about. for those that don't know what we're talking about,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail the show. I apologize.
No. I mean, it's on my list of shit to talk about today. So believe me, take a little time after the show. Go to my Facebook page. Go to Jonathan Mancuda on Facebook and read the post about Warner Brothers going too far with political correctness and what could be happening in the future. Take a minute. It's well worth reading. But basically what Paul's bringing up is there's a new Looney Tunes cartoon coming out, because this has to do with 80s metal. So it's, there's a ooh, kill the rabbit. Yeah,
we all like the same cartoons,
Yeah, we're look,
Almighty Hunter of Great Hunting Stock. We are not talking about 80s rock.
Well, I bet I'm going to show you my cock.
See, here's the thing about this. The issue, for those of you that don't know, they're going to bring back these new Looney Tunes, and they're going to
on HBO. On HBO.
Yeah, on HBO of all places. So wait a second. HBO suddenly can't be fucking showing guns?
Because here's the thing.
The network of The Sopranos.
They're appealing to an adult audience with these. Just like if you go and listen to a Poison concert or a Bon Jovi concert, you're not going to get new kids 18 years old running to see Bon Jovi and Poison. No, it's going to be us old fucks. We're going to be the target audience. Same thing with Looney Tunes. They're not appealing to the new kid who's glued to their phone. That's not their intended audience. Looney Tunes appeals to us who grew up with the shit. It's our nostalgia. We're going to be the ones watching it. But with that said,
it's older than us.
They want to be well older than us. They're into the 40s?
Yeah, 30s and 40s is when they started.
My grandfather will still watch it, and he's
dead. Our grandparents,
dead. But look, it's not for today's millennials. Today's millennials didn't have a Saturday morning memory. They didn't grow up watching the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Hour. They didn't really grow up watching Bugs Bunny. We did. So we're their target audience. Now, with that said, after all we've been through, they feel that today's audience can't handle it unless it's a little PC clean, meaning they're taking away Elmer Fudd's hunting shotgun and Yosemite Sam's 6-shooting guns. So what the fuck? I mean,
here's the thing. This is such bullshit. And John and I are fucking, I mean, Warner Brothers cartoons are fucking sacred to me. I own somewhere around, and this is not an exaggeration, 3,000 Warner Brothers cartoons. I bought the box sets that came out. They put out 6 box sets back in the early 2000s with 4 or 5 DVDs on each one of them, each one containing like 100 cartoons. So do the math.
I have piles of them.
Yes, there's shitloads of these things. Warner Brothers are sacred. So they know how much we love Warner Brothers. They know that it's like, there are certain things that you don't fuck with. If the character traits of Elmer Fudd, and I'll use another Warner Brothers character that they're probably never going to bring back, which is Pepe Le Pew, because he was super rapey. I get it. But if the character traits of a character like Elmer Fudd, who, by the way, he originally started out as a wildlife photographer, and the kids went, well, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Who cares? So then he became
a wabbit in its natural habitat.
Oh, there's no option for super violent conflict there, which is the point of Elmer Fudd. His inability to use a firearm
or the English language.
Yeah, he has also got a speech impediment. They're going to leave the speech impediment, but they're taking the shotgun away? What the fuck? So you see those 2 frames that Johnny has put up, all right? The producers of the new Looney Tunes cartoons have said, well, we're still going to have TNT and we're still going to have the cartoony violence, but we're taking the guns out. What's the point of taking the gun out? In that picture, if Elmer Fudd catches Bugs Bunny, he's going to fucking brutally decapitate him.
I got him.
Well, is that okay, but shooting him isn't?
I'm going to whip you to Wibbins, Wabbit. I want my rifle, but I'll use a scythe and whip you to Wibbins. I'll roll your head down the hallway.
See, Robert Master Switch, if cartoons are the hill you want to die on, go for it. That's the
yes.
point. That's the point. The point is, don't fuck with the cartoons. They're just fucking cartoons. It's not a moral lesson. It's not the cartoon's job to teach the kid between right and wrong. That's the fucking parent's job. We have way more important shit to worry about than whether or not Elmer Fudd has a fucking shotgun.
That he's had for the past 60 years, by the way, or even 60, 80 years, 80 fucking years.
You want to really update society and be honest and teach people a moral lesson? Show Jesus with his real skin pigment.
He's Jewish.
That just got dark, didn't it?
What was that, Sammy Davis? No, but think about this. Think about this. You know, they're saying that Elmer Fudd could be encouraging kids to playing with guns and school shootings. I never shot up a school. I never was playing with a gun because I said, wow, Elmer Fudd. Yeah, that's the guy that I wanna imitate. Elmer Fudd blows off Daffy's bill. I wonder if I could do that to my teacher. No! He's a cartoon!
That's the thing. It's just, you got to suspend disbelief. What if that kid sitting at home is in a fucking terrible relationship, like a terrible household? Maybe he's got, I don't know. Let me pull up a random, completely unrelatable, personally unrelatable anecdote. I don't know. Maybe a father who beats the shit out of his mother, who's bipolar and an alcoholic. And maybe that fucking environment causes the kid want to slit his own fucking throat every night. And the only thing he has to look forward to is an hour of Looney Tunes cartoons where the vision of Elmer Fudd shooting Daffy Duck's bill and having it spin around his head is the only thing that keeps him from going into the bathroom and taking all of his mother's fucking antidepressants and killing himself. Maybe that's the other side of that coin. I mean, I don't know anybody like that.
I'm getting so angry just discussing this. Where is my Q13 Earth Eliminator? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom. Where is the kaboom?
Well, no, you're going to get the kaboom, except it's from dynamite. So let me get this straight. It's okay to teach kids to try and acquire dynamite, which you can get at your local fertilizer store to help blow up the gophers, as we learned in Caddyshack.
That's what inspired me to do it.
Exactly. This is much ado about nothing. These are cartoons. Leave the fucking cartoons alone. And if you've got a problem with Elmer Fudd and the facets of Elmer Fudd, by the way, this new generation has no fucking clue who Elmer Fudd is. So introduce a new character. Introduce something that doesn't have the facets. Why are you introducing a character whose personality traits are something that we don't agree with in society.
You did Tiny Toons. You introduced all new characters. You had Elmer Fudd's daughter, Elmira, although I don't know who the fuck he got laid with.
Elmira.
I wubbed my woad into a woman.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but he had a daughter, Elmira, who was basically like a little girl version of him, non-violent. You want to bring her back as a teenager? Have fun. But Elmer Fudd, for fuck's sake, he's a hunter. He's not going to go hunting with a scythe. I mean, for God's sakes, and kids aren't going to watch it. We are.
Yeah, it really is. They're fucking with something that is, for example, do you remember when they brought back the Mustang car the first time around and people went, holy shit, that's not the Mustang. And Ford went, oh, fuck, that's not the Mustang. We'd better make it look more like the Mustang it used to be. Or when Dodge brought back the Challenger. Like, there are certain things that are iconic that you can't fuck with. Elmer Fudd is one of those things. Those cartoons are so... Well, imagine if they brought back Homer Simpson and made him African-American. Why can't he be African-American? Because he's Homer Simpson. Right. If you change him, if you change Elmer Fudd, he's no longer Elmer Fudd. Doesn't make any... And by the way, the speech impediment is okay. The violence is okay. But the gun is not. And look, as an admitted gun owner, I fucking hate guns. I don't want guns. Guns are a tool. They're not fucking cool. And you don't go out and you fucking shoot your friends with them. You learn that from day one. Cartoons aren't reality. They're the place that you go to escape reality so that you don't grab a gun and fucking shoot up your school.
Yeah, you come here for an escape to watch our show. You don't suddenly, find yourself violently masturbating the way I do. It's a joke. Well, not for me, but I mean, for the rest of you, it's a joke.
I'll make it a joke for everybody. John's penis.
Ha! My penis.
By the way,
my tiny penis.
By the way, why was this my zing move? What the fuck was that all about? That was a little. I was like zing. I'm like fisting. Fisting is.
It's
fisting
that reaction.
Move for lighthearted humor.
It's that reaction. You don't realize the impulsive move is to like fist someone in the ass. It's like
that's my idea of a good-natured laugh. Hey, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, so what is Yosemite Sam gonna have? Is he gonna have like a super soaker and be like, "I'll drown you, you varmint"? What are they gonna give him? And you know what? The millennials, they grew up watching anime where like everyone's in a schoolgirl outfit getting captured by the devil and molested. And
oh no, he's going to eat my pussy.
What the? You're telling me after putting that stuff on the air, that's the cartoons millennials were exposed to. No wonder they're shooting up schools. It sucks. If they
don't tell them.
Fucking son of a bitch.
Oh, there you go.
If they had something like that, they would be fine. Welcome to Tech More on Tuesday.
That was the most poignant, salient point you've made in the history of this show, and nobody heard it.
And the secret of my success is...
That was fucking awesome.
Really was, right?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
I watch the Three Stooges every chance I get, every New Year's Eve when they're on, because I'm not out with anybody on New Year's Eve. I watch the Three Stooges my whole life. I've never taken a fucking saw and run it across the top of somebody's head. I've never poked anybody's eyes out. I've never hit them with a fucking monkey wrench. And I've never had a clam in the clam chowder spit in my eye. So, I mean, it's like, you got to understand, there's a difference between fantasy and reality. Elmer Fudd is not fucking reality. Leave him alone.
Yeah, I mean, for fuck's sake, I never went on Amazon and was like, all right, let's see. Where do they have giant slingshots and radioactive birdseed? Anvil. Look under Anvil. Maybe. Here, disappearing hole. Yeah, let's order one of those. Come on, it's a fucking cartoon. And You want to talk speech impediment? Well, I made predictions on my Facebook page of all the changes they're going to do to all the other characters, because you have Porky Pig, so you can't make fun of his lisp. So he's going to straighten out his voice. He's going to talk normal now. There's not going to be any speech impediment, and he's going to be known as Body Positivity Pig. You know, exactly. It's like proud of my shape pig or something. I mean, it's like, where does it fucking end? Where does it end?
It's. Do you remember a couple of yeyears ago when?
No,
I remember. No, you would remember this, and this is right up your ass.
I was drunk.
Allie. Do you remember when the porn industry was going to mandate condoms be used in all porn?
Yes,
all porn
that I
videos?
do. That I do.
And you go, well, then what's the fucking point? Nobody watches porn for the condom.
Yeah, we do that at home. We do that at home.
People sit back and you go, well, I'm watching porn for the fan. Now, again, whether your thoughts and your opinions on porn are yours, and if you're into it, great. And if you're not into it, great, that's fine. But the whole point, what point is a bukkake film with a condom? Look what I made.
Don't shoot it. Don't shoot it all over me. Oh, I love the way you're not shooting it all over me. I love the way that nothing's dripping down my chin. What the fuck?
I mean, it's ridiculous. What do you do? I mean, so they do this. They do a bukkake film, bukkake gangbang film, and then what do? They hang the condoms on the Christmas tree?
No, it's the most ridiculous fucking thing in the world. I had friends in the porn industry. I mean, I have friends in the porn industry.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know. But you know, even at that time, one of them said to me, I don't know what this is about. We all get required tested exclusively all the time, constantly. Right. There's no chance of us catching anything, blah, 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 unless we stray off and, you know, sleep with strangers or whatever, what's the point? It's like you just spent all day fucking someone. You get home. It's like, oh, honey, you want to have sex? Oh, God, no. I just spent 8 hours with big black cocks. Please. That's a lot. I just want to cuddle.
That's like wearing a cup while playing Nerf basketball.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck are you doing? Leave it alone. I mean, and don't get me wrong. If you don't like it, this is the beautiful part. You don't have to watch. Find some other boring shit Disney cartoon. You want family values? Watch Disney. You know, cartoons created by an avowed racist, homophobe.
Yeah, and Jason Lee brings up Two Girls, One Cup, and that has nothing to do with this conversation. But I'm really, really, really glad you did.
Yeah, I support
that film.
I support it. I've never seen it. I know what it is.
Oh, you have to see it.
I know. I've never seen it. I know what it is.
That would encourage school shootings. That I could see. Two Girls, One Cup. That could rot someone's mind. That I could see. Not Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes are funny. Looney Tunes are comedy.
And let's fucking talk about the elephant in the room. It's on HBO and Cinemax streaming service. You're opting in. It's not like they're showing Elmer Fudd on TV in the afternoon, like when we grew up, in the afternoon at 3:30 on your local TV station, where you turn it on and a kid might accidentally be exposed to this cartoon violence. You paid to get in. That's like saying, I paid for this iPad, but I can't have it. Fuck you. I know what I'm buying. I opted into it. I knew what I was getting into. Like an airplane. They knew what they were getting into. I say, let them crash.
Yeah, right?
There's an assumed risk. If you're watching, like if I'm watching Elmer Fudd, I want to see Elmer Fudd. That's like seeing Batman not punch people.
Which is next.
It is next. But if you do that same logic, you can't make superhero films because people will start jumping out of windows. You can't make vampire films because everybody will start biting each other. Zombie films and The Walking Dead, they're all gonna fucking they all encourage cannibalism. Stop it.
Yeah, well, that's Warner's thing with Sylvester and Tweety. They're making Sylvester a vegan, and Tweety is gonna. No, I'm joking, but you know, roll with the joke. Roll with the joke.
No, because here's the thing. It seems like a stupid, ludicrous comment that is a joke, but I sit back and go, fuck, maybe Mancuda heard that this thing is going more ridiculous. So I
No,
apologized.
just read the rant on my Facebook page. I'm quoting from it, but it's like
Okay.
they think about them making Sylvester as a vegan because he's a cannibal trying to eat Tweety, and then you got Tweety lecturing Sylvester about that time he pushed Granny out of the way. That's elder abuse, and it's like, so now you got to get a lecture on elder abuse, and then you got Taz. Well, he's obviously got anxiety issues and mental health issues, and he just needs some therapy and some Prozac. So you can't make fun of that. And then you got Daffy Duck. He's a black man. He's homeless. We got to get him some government assistance. And then Elmer Fudd's a white guy picking on him with a rifle. We got to stop that. And Pepe Le Pew, he's a rapist. He's got to ask the cat for consent because of the Me Pew movement. And you got Acme. Acme's selling all violent things. You got to make them more like Amazon. So they're selling books and music and wholesome things for entertainment. And it gets a little crazy after a while. We don't want and need that kind of change. It's been out there for 80 fucking years, and it's nothing to do with school shootings. Even the video games you have now are 1,000 times more realistic and violent than watching Porky Pig. It's come on.
I think I can sum it all up with a message to the folks at Warner Brothers or whomever, HBO, Time Warner, who owns all the programming that's going to be on HBO, Cinemax Stream, whatever that thing is called, on demand, their streaming service. And that is, and I want you to quote me on this, leave my fucking cartoons alone.
Yeah, here's my quote. Come out with new cartoons.
And don't get me wrong, I have a friend of mine who, and John probably read the thread on my Facebook page, friend of mine who is gay, and he's like, well, maybe we should start putting out a better vision of an enlightened society. Yes, I fucking agree.
Sure.
But Elmer Fudd isn't that. Elmer Fudd is something else. Put out a fucking a gay cartoon character that teaches inclusivity and teaches tolerance for all people. Stop fucking with Elmer Fudd. Do something new, because you're, by putting out something like this. And by the way, I'll get to the end of this. There's a huge fucking twist that we're all playing into right now, and John already knows it. If you're putting out a character that is a heritage character, that is a beloved character, you're trading on the legacy of that character, and the nature of people go, parents go, oh my God, Elmer Fudd. I love Elmer Fudd. I can watch this with my kid. And then they watch it and they go, well, that's not fucking Elmer Fudd. What the hell are you doing? In the end, the past 40 minutes or whatever we've been doing on this subject is all exactly what HBO wants. They want us to talk about their show.
And we will.
And if we talk about their show and it becomes a social media outrage and becomes a viral story, then the local news says social media trends are talking about the fact that Elmer Fudd is not going to be carrying a gun. And HBO Time Warner sits back and says, we can't pay for this kind of advertising. And that's all
true.
They give a shit about.
And make no mistake, will I watch the first episode? Probably. And then I will just be spreading all over social media how pissed I am about it, because it sucks dick harder than any girl I've ever been with.
Mel Brooks isn't dead, Mike Neese. Mike Neese
yeah,
that's funny.
Mel Brooks is not rolling in his grave. Mel Brooks is at home counting his money. Mel Blanc might be rolling. Mel Blanc might be rolling in his grave.
Mel Brooks is alive and well, and the funniest fucking human being that's ever been. Yeah,
good cartoons died with Mel Blanc, I have to admit.
I would say I stopped watching Warner Brothers cartoons after the DePatie Freeling era, when Warner Brothers stopped their cartoon department, and Fritz Freeling and I forget the name of the DePatie production company, the people that did the Tijuana Toads and the Ant and the Aardvark, that production company, that cartoon company, and Fritz Freeling got together and bought the rights to Warner Brothers cartoons. And you'll know it because the music is no longer Carl Stalling. It's a different music soundtrack, and the sound effects are a little different because all of that shit was owned by Warner Brothers. They sold the rights to the cartoon, but the animators didn't go to work for them and all that stuff. So you'll see some of the Wile E. Coyote cartoons toward the end of that era are the ones where Wile E. Coyote was speaking more than he was. And the different voices, they're a little bit different. They're a little bit off. That's when I stopped watching Warner Brothers cartoons, because it ceased being what I wanted it to be. What I grew up with. And now there's so many generations along that. Stop fucking with Elmer Fudd. Leave him alone. Come up with a new character.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, you're hurting your built-in audience. It's like comic books. Comic books are not for a 15-year-old. Comic books are for a average 45-year-old audience. That's the average. That means there's some in the late 30s, there's some in the late 50s. You're in the 40s as your average. Don't start appealing to a 15-year-old kid. He's not reading comic books. He's on his phone. He'll watch the movies. He'll watch some of the cartoons. He'll buy some of the merch. You will not find a 15-year-old kid in generalization here picking up comic books weekly at a comic book store. That's us. That's your average 40-something-year-old at a comic book store. So don't try to appeal to that kid and alienate your core audience. That's what Warner Brothers is doing right now. They're fucking with things we value and love and still support with our hard-earned dollar, Gene Simmons.
A nominal fee.
Exactly. And they need that money. But they're not going to get it from the kids. So why the fuck are you playing games with our nostalgia? Create a new cartoon. You want to be socially. You want to do Captain Planet comes back and add another kid and he's in a wheelchair and add another kid and he's gay and they're actually fighting for civil rights and for the planet. Great.
Have at it.
Because we don't care about Captain Planet. We don't care. You can have him.
That's not for me. Like, for example, you mentioned Animaniacs before. Never
Love
seen
him.
it. Not interested.
Love
them.
them. I don't care if they change it a bit.
Right.
It's not my childhood.
Darkwing Duck. Never seen it. Don't care.
Enjoy it. Make him gay. Have fun.
The Smurfs. Never seen it. Don't care. It doesn't have that. I don't have that emotional attachment to it. And by the way, all of those are not Elmer Fudd. Elmer Fudd is almost Mickey Mouse.
Legendary legacy.
There are certain characters. That's why when the Three Stooges movie came out, it was so fucking awful from a script standpoint. Yet, if you haven't seen the Three Stooges movie, where Sean, what's his face from what's the
Connery?
No, not Sean Connery. You're shitting in your chair now. The guy from Grace and Will and Grace.
Sean Hayes.
Sean Hayes plays Larry. Will Sasso is Curly, and Christy Amatroblis, and that's a tough name to say, is Mo. If you go and you YouTube clips from that Three Stooges movie, they fucking nail it. They nail the essence of the characters. The characters were fucking fantastic. The script was a piece of shit. It was an awful movie overall. But if you watch the way they portray absolutely legendary, beloved, I mean, that's the thing that had to happen when they did those characters, was you're going to relaunch something that is iconic, that is so iconic, generationally iconic, that if you fuck it up, people are going to lose their shit. And that's why it's so important to pick whatever the right Batman is or the right James Bond or whatever it is, because you're talking about something that is iconic and it is expected and there are expectations to it. What if they made Curly Mo Larry, and Larry Curly? What if Curly had become the bully of the three? You'd sit back and go, what the fuck is going on? Well, he's the bigger one. The bigger one should be the bully. You'd say, hey, you're fucking with my pizza. Stop it.
You know what? What's going to happen?
Give me what I want.
You know what's going to happen with the Stooges? And I'm making a Karnak kind of prediction. Here we go, Mancuda's prediction. They're going to make an all-female version of the Three Stooges.
Well,
guaranteed.
They did it with Ghostbusters. Look at what happened to Ghostbusters.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point.
And it fucking and our friend Jay Hannon disagrees about Hayes. Yeah, he was definitely the weakest of the three. But there's an argument.
But our friend Jay Hannon agrees with everything else. So
I never saw it.
Thumbs up, Jay Hannon.
He was definitely the weakest of the three. But there's an argument to be made that Larry was the weakest of the three, which is a false argument. Of the original, not the original three, because Shemp was the original third Stooge. But of those three, right, Larry is clearly the weakest developed, because he was somewhere between Mo and Curly. Curly, obviously the child. Mo, obviously the alpha male ego. And Larry sometimes got the joke in, other times became the butt of the joke. I think we can all agree, fuck Curly Joe.
Oh, yeah, fuck him. He's the sixth Beatle. No one cares about them.
Yeah, fuck Curly Joe.
He's not even the Pete Best of the Stooges.
Yeah, I mean, I was okay with Joe Besser. I was okay with Joe Besser. I was not good with Curly Joe. I had enough by that point.
By the way, Krellbar says there's already a female version of the Three Stooges. Ever watch The View? So that's terrible.
I love the Three Stooges, but I never saw.
That's what I call my junk in my pants. The Three Stooges.
Hugh Caldwell brings out the Marx Brothers. Really? How about Gummo Marx? Do you remember Gummo Marx? No, you don't, because he was awful. Nobody remembers Gummo.
I never got into them. Them and the Bowery Boys, my father liked. So I he's like, come sit with me and watch this. It's quality entertainment. They don't make it like this anymore. I was like, I don't care about your Bowery Boys. What time is Bugs Bunny Roadrunner on?
Yeah, well, that's a great example. Bowery Boys was a little bit too far for me. I love the Stooges, obviously. I love the Marx Brothers, obviously. Little lesser for Abbott and Costello, although they were fucking brilliant.
I like
never got into Laurel and Hardy.
I like them a lot.
Never got into Fatty Arbuckle, thankfully. And
did he get into you though?
Never got into Fatty Arbuckle. Woohoo! Not gonna ride that train. By the way, these are all references that you kids don't get. Just like Elmer Fudd.
Well, keep in mind those are way before our time too. Those are like our parents' time, but
that's the point. We were exposed to something that was original. They didn't sanitize it, and we understand it, saw it, understand it, consumed it, and still, like Fatty Arbuckle is considered comic genius, and yet none of us ever touched kids. Well, 2 of the 3 of us have never touched kids.
This pedophilia joke brought to you by Bang Energy Drink. I'd just like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Bang Energy Drink, and Swiss Picks, the favorite of NAMLA everywhere. Oh, I mean NAM, summer NAM, winter NAM.
Yeah. Gosh. Blank Palette brings up the Honeymooners. Great example. You know, the Honeymooners was completely predicated upon domestic violence. The whole to the moon, Alice. If you don't behave yourself, Alice, I will punch you in the fucking face so hard you'll be knocked to the moon. That was the joke. And people went, that Alice, boy, one of these days, Jackie Gleason's going to fucking crank her one. And we all laughed. Yet nobody thought it was a good idea.
And make no mistake, if you walked into a pitch meeting these days saying, hey, I've got a great thing. I've got a great idea. We're going to have the star is a fat guy. And we know he's fat, not just because visually, but like everyone's always like teasing him about his body. And he's a wife beater. That's the joke, though, because it's funny. You know, I'm sure probably wouldn't get that green light right away. Like, wife beater, huh? Okay, there's a demographic for that. Yeah, I could see that. All right, green lit. Yeah. No, obviously, we're in a different time. But that doesn't make it less classic.
To answer our friend Jay Hannon, he asked the question, wasn't there a Looney Tunes version of Abbott and Costello? Yeah, it was Babbitt and Catzello.
Yeah.
Hey, Babbitt. Hey, Babbitt. And Catzello was a fat cat.
What are you doing, stupid?
Yeah, it was Babbitt and Catzello.
And for those that don't know, the Flintstones was an animated version of the Honeymooners.
Right. But
that was the pitch.
But there's a great idea. The Flintstones didn't have the promise of domestic violence there. There was never the point of Fred Flintstone never threatened to punch Wilma because it was the Flintstones and not an animated version of the Honeymooners. The animated version of the Honeymooners with the Warner Brothers cartoons was the little mice, the Honeymooner mice. And there was the threat of violence, domestic violence in that situation because it was
slapping them around.
It was literally a reimagining of that same character. The Flintstones was the traits of the character transferred into a new character. There's a lot of people out there that have no idea that the Flintstones is a cartoon version of the Honeymooners because it wasn't a fucking cartoon version of the Honeymooners. This is a fantastic example of what we're talking about with Elmer Fudd. You like the character traits or you want to change the character traits, but make it that character. They made it something new.
Yeah, don't buy the property if you're not going to stick to the fucking property. Spider-Man is still Spider-Man. Okay, he beats up bad guys. That's why you want to buy the rights to Spider-Man, to make a Spider-Man movie. Don't buy Spider-Man to say, if we gave him nunchucks,
Right.
how would that work?
Right. It's like making taking cheese and sauce off of pizza. Now you've got the dough. You got the dough, but you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put some pickles and mustard on it. It's not fucking, and you can't just call it pizza. Boy, that sounds disgusting, doesn't it?
Or pineapple.
Oh boy,
They
yeah,
do that.
pineapple.
There's like cheeseburger pizza.
No, cheeseburger. I get.
Any
But
meat
pickles-
is
pickles
good.
and
We're
mustard?
carnivores.
That's
Any
the
meat is
vegetarian pizza.
good. Yeah,
cheeseburger.
which is we don't want that.
Yeah.
Vegetarian pizza.
You know what? Vegetarians right now, come out here and eat my lawn.
Eat my shorts. All right, look. It is the 2-hour mark, and yes, everybody, there is a show and tell guitar.
But we digress.
But listen, fuck you, Warner Brothers. Stop fucking with it. There's 3 properties you don't fuck with. You don't fuck with Disney stuff. You don't fuck with Looney Tunes, and you don't fuck with Charlie Brown. Okay,
Right,
leave those
exactly.
3 alone. Everyone else, you want to fuck with the Smurfs? Add a couple of more Smurfs. They kept doing it. There's Sassy Smurf and Grandpa Smurf and Great Grandpa Smurf, and you already had a gay Smurf. That's vanity. He was, oh my mirror. No, and I loved him. So look, don't fuck with existing childhood legacies, and I don't just mean casual childhood cartoons here or there. Warner Brothers is a legacy. Six Flags has Elmer Fudd with a gun all over their fucking rides. Okay? Elmer needs his rifle to blow away the wabbit. Otherwise, he can't blow him to smithereens. Understand?
Although, I will tell you, a friend of mine pointed out, and it is a logical contrarian response to all of this. The best Elmer Fudd cartoon didn't involve his gun.
Well,
Spear and magic
helmet.
Spear and magic helmet.
Spear
And
and
I'll
magic
give you a
helmet.
sample.
Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
Almighty hunter of great hunting stock.
Oh, Brunhilde, you are so lovely.
Yes, I know it. I can't help it.
What would you do with the weapon? All right, it's time for show and tell. So,
This shows you we can fucking. Here's the thing. Can you quote anything Chaucer has ever written? Jeffrey Chaucer has ever written?
only what was in that cartoon.
Exactly. You can't quote any. How I learned about classical music was that shit right there.
Absolutely.
All right. So you got a guitar.
See, in these days, that horse would his body positivity wouldn't work. You have to have the
Look at
horse
that fucking picture.
horse proud of her body.
Scroll down again, Johnny, please.
Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the
Scroll down.
wabbit.
No, the other way. Scroll up, but let the visual go down.
Little
Look
more.
at that. Look at that. Look at those two pictures. Look at how great those cartoons are. Look at the you believe those characters are real fucking people. They're so well developed. They're well drawn, and you can tell what's going on in Bugs Bunny's head there, and Elmer Fudd, how fucking maniacal he is. That is a piece of my childhood that you need to keep your goddamn PC hands off of.
Yeah, we don't want your fucking new Looney Tunes.
Stop it.
I make no mistake. I will, after watching the first episode, I will go ape shit on it online. I will
Not
go
gonna
on social media and bitch about it until I'm dead.
22 minutes would be better spent listening to a Van Halen album.
Yeah. So speaking of guitars, we actually have some on the show. Today's show and tell guitar, you guys were guessing in the chat earlier, and I saw a lot of guesses that it would be a BC Rich, and it's not. And I'll tell you why. Because last week, a bunch of you guys and girls were requesting a Kramer. So this week, I bring a Kramer, and what happens? You're like, I hope it's a BC Rich. It's a Kramer, but it's a damn fine Kramer. So this is one of those Kramers that was built in conjunction with ESP toward the last big hurrah for Kramer in around 1989 and ending in 1990. This is probably one of their best guitars they ever made, in my opinion. And a lot of people seem to go with it. I mean, you could say, some people think the Night Swan is the best. Some people think the Sustainer is the best. And, of course, the Beretta is always amazing. But today, boys and girls, I have brought this little toy. Johnny? Look at that thing. This is a Kramer Archtop Stagemaster. Now, the Stagemaster was already out in 1986, and it was a slightly different guitar. And again, in this light, I can't even capture how glow-in-the-dark neon pink this thing is. This thing burns my retinas and gives me a massive hard-on. This is my favorite configuration. This is my favorite configuration of the Stagemaster because they made it a few different ways. They made it initially as more of a strap-bodied guitar. And when I say strap-body, more of kind of a slab. And this is an arch top. Look at the curves on this thing. This thing's curves are so sexy. Beautiful. Just great looking. And they made it in a couple of different pickup configurations. You could get it in a very rarely ordered, just a humbucker and an angled single coil, which to me, I thought was the sexiest looking configuration and really versatile. And you could order it with 2 single coils in there, but I never use a middle pickup. So what does it matter? You got a Zebra, Duncan JB, same thing, Duncan single coil. And you have a real Floyd Rose, because if you guys remember, Kramer had the rights to them back then. So that's a real Floyd Rose. That's not a Takuchi licensed or anything like that. And eventually they went to the archtop body style, which is lighter. It's got a really, really sexy carve on that. Look at that thing. Really, really cool. The knobs are kind of almost a little bit sunken in. If you look at that at the angle, they're a little sunken into the body, just a smidge. Standard 3-way pickup selector and a beautiful bound ebony neck and headstock. Back when you could get really good ebony, which you just barely can anymore. Look at that. And again, this was their neck through guitar. So if you wanted sustain, this was the guy that brought it to you. Look at that carve. That carve is so sexy. Apologies for the color not being as blinding as it is in real life. I wish to God pink was so easy to capture, but it's not. But nice neck through, sustain for days. And it's just a comfortable shape. I mean, you have the standard Strat body cut here, but it's just such a good feeling guitar. And again, you got, people call this the shark tooth inlays, but it's really the Kramer headstock. If you look at that 12th inlay, that's basically what it is that. That's what it's supposed to be a mimic of, is that headstock.
What's interesting is that the Kramer American headstock, even though they were sort of made by ESP, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and ESP clearly a Japanese company, yet it's still an American, quote unquote, American guitar.
But you also have to remember, you have 48th Street Custom back in the day, which was basically ESP making guitars in America. So technically, a little, assembled in the States, kind of a hybrid of an American and Japanese guitar. And remember, ESP's quality back then was incredible. So for them and Kramer to team up and do stuff like this, they were making at the end of their run some of the best guitars they ever made. Really, really heavy quality stuff. And yeah, Ben Tom brings up the ESP Horizon. Very, very similar guitar. That's basically almost their version of what this was, with some differences.
For those people who are fans of Kramer and want to get a good Kramer cheap, if you can find one, pick up the old Focus series, the old Focus 1000, 3000, 5000, 7000, 6000, 7000. Those series are Japanese Kramers, and they're made by ESP. You're buying an ESP guitar because back then ESP wasn't really a guitar maker. They were just becoming a guitar maker in the mid to late 80s. They were a company, it stands for Electric Sound Products, and they were a Japanese manufacturer that built guitar parts for American companies, and the American companies put their name on it. So if you buy an old Kramer Focus, it is essentially an ESP knockoff of the American Kramer Beretta. But it has to be the early series, the early stuff. And you can tell because it'll say Focus 1000. It has a number at the end of the things. Those early Focuses are all ESP guitars. And you used to be able to pick them up for a song on eBay and Reverb and stuff like that. You are getting an ESP guitar for a third of the price of the comparable ESP guitar of the day.
Yeah, and they're great guitars. And again, you know, nowadays you have ESP and their LTD version, which is an entry-level version of ESP. Again, some are good, some are okay on the LTDs. I think ESP is one of the newer companies that to this day is still, and when I say newer company, I don't mean they're a brand new company. I mean, they're a company producing newer guitars that still has a really, really high quality level, just like Charvel Jackson. You can pick up a new ESP today and they're great, but I will always, always, always go for what made them famous. And that is these. This was the final hurrah for Kramer's, was this and the Sustainer and the Night Swan. You know, again, Night Swan with that R1 neck. It's kind of an acquired taste, but it's still a well-built guitar. But this is unique. This thing feels so good. It's a nice D shape on the neck, kind of flat and wide. Look how wide that is.
Yeah, it's a good neck. And I bet it feels solid when you're playing it.
Very solid. This is, again, for you guys that like a Jackson Soloist or something, for that rock solid sustained feel that just when you pick it up and you ring a note, it's like, wow, that's really, really some hardcore sustain. This is the same thing. And again, you know, you're coming out with how popular was the JB as a pickup. It was the Kramer standby. And probably even today for 80s metal, one of the most versatile and popular pickups today that you could put in a guitar. Everyone considers that mid-range. If you want just enough crunch or you want to lay back, it's a really versatile pickup. And these, by the way, these single coils were exclusive to them. They're built by Duncan, but they were built for them. These staggered single coil. If you look at it, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, and they give a nice tone, but again, these things really, really terrific. I have another one in Flip Flop Blue, but you know, pink, obviously my personal favorite. You know, it's classic 80s color, and you know, it's my color. So, but there you go. You guys and girls asked for a Kramer. That is as good as it. Mom?
Sorry, I have a dog situation. I'll be right back.
Oh no, I smell destruction. How much insurance do you think Paul has to have in his house? Now, keep in mind, they're reissuing these. Again, the new ones are made in Indonesia, and they're different. Okay, they're not as good feeling as this. They're different. You're just not going to match the quality that you had in the 80s with what they're currently building. You know, with that said, they're not bad, blah, blah, blah. Lenny Lou wants to know, how do I feel about neck binding? It doesn't bother me. Again, think about a Jackson Soloist. On the Soloist, you have the fret ends, have little nubs, kind of like the Les Pauls do on the fret ends. And this is, you know, a very, not even nubby, it's a very solidly bound neck. You can see it.
It's not nubby.
Yeah, it's not nubby.
That's a non-nub.
You know, I'm talking about with like you get the soloists, the nub is kind of sticking up a little bit of the bind.
You can always feel it.
You can always feel it. This is more evenly bound. And I like the feel of it. So bound necks don't bother me at all. And again, painted neck, think soloist, because my favorite guitars are really like the Sandy Miss Charvels and the BC Rich Gunslingers that have just a raw oiled neck, of the wood. They're not painted. Those are my personal favorites. But again, if you like a soloist, you will dig this because it's actually a little lighter than a soloist, in most cases, older bodies and whatnot. And again, it's just a good, sexy looking guitar and it feels nice and blah, blah, blah. Crazy Cook 678 says he wants to hear it. Well, that's great. Just, put an amp in this room and you'll hear it, or I'll go in the other room and play it. And you'll just be like, yeah, I don't have an amp in the room here, so you can't play it, but so you can't hear it. But either way, they're really good guitars. Just take my word on that. Krellbar says I talked about nubs without a dirty joke. Have I become woke? Yeah, look, I'm already embarrassed enough about my nubby little penis, okay? I say it 1,000 times a day on the show. I don't need to say it during show and tell either. So, but yeah, and I get it. I know. Drew SGS 60 wants to know, how much do they run? How much did I pay for it? It doesn't matter really what I paid for mine, but in general, something like this is probably in usually maybe like the $1,600 to $1,800 range, depending on color, configuration. Like I said, I personally like this configuration. I just think it's sexy. I usually am just a one humbucker guy as a preference, but on this particular guitar, I just like the way the top neck single coil is angled. I think it just adds to the aesthetics of the guitar, and it gives me a guitar that I can play with a single coil. So, but that's about what they run usually.
Does it get any strat quack when you tap that thing? Can you tap the single coil and the one single coil of the humbucker?
What do you mean? As far as like
the toggle switch on it, you throw that toggle switch. Does it tap the middle position?
It splits the hum.
All right, so it splits the hum, but does it split the hum and engage the single coil up by the neck?
I don't think so.
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. I don't think so. I'd have to plug it in.
How many different positions are on that toggle switch? Are there three?
It's a three-way.
All right,
it's a three-way, and I believe
full hummer.
I believe it's full hum, and then just the top of this one, and then the single is on its own.
All right.
Yeah, if it was a five-way, I'd say okay, sure, but I'm pretty sure it's just splitting the hum.
Can you pull that tone knob up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is there volume?
No, it's not. It's not a push pull.
Pull.
It's not a push pull. It's just straight volume, straight tone.
I can hear Johnny's one synapse firing there, going, "Yep, that's the mod I would make. I would put a push pull in it so that you can tap that coil and the neck pickup at the same time."
And you can.
I'd tap that.
I'd hit that. I'd hit that.
John BL says three-way full hummer.
Giggity.
Giggity
Nice. Giggity good. Yeah.
It is a beautiful guitar, as is often the case. I'm waiting for John. See, John needs to do what my friend Dane Zimmerman and I used to do, which was shitty guitar day, garbage guitar day, trash guitar day, where he who can bring the worst guitar into the shop that day wins. Yeah.
I'm sure I could find stuff. I mean, all you have to do to find a real shit guitar is go to a pawn shop these days. Back in in the 80s, you'd find pre-CBS Strats and Les Paul. In the 90s, you'd find all the cool 80s guitars. After 2000, now it's just like an import Kramer, for $100 ask.
I bought
Ibanez entry level ask, and 100 names you haven't heard
There's
of.
stores at the malls. There's stores at the malls that sell really, really, really cheap guitars, electric guitars. ukuleles. There's one here.
I went to, I found it. There was a pawn shop in New Orleans where I found an 82 Kramer Pacer Special flip flop, like that rainbow starts the gold with the black stripes in it, all the way down to the green, with a maple neck, original Kramer beak headstock, single shaller, original Floyd, all that stuff. $200. Sold it to a guy in England for $1,000 when I lost my job because I needed the money, and I regret it every day. I still remember the guitar vividly, and that was one of those pawn shop finds. He had it sitting on the wall for $600. I walked in like 15 months later and said, "Look, that guitar's still there. How much do you want for it?" He said, "Make me an offer." I said, $200. He said, "Sold." It's like, you got to be shitting me. And I wish I had that guitar today, because that would be a show and tell guitar.
That like never happens anymore.
Nope.
And yeah, Robot Master Switch.
I'm so mad I sold it.
And yeah, Robot Master Switch. Pink is the right color. It's always the right color. It's my color.
What's funny
Absolutely.
is your hat comes off as pink on the camera, but that guitar comes off as a little bit more orange.
Because you know what it is? This is different shade of pink. This is like neon pink.
No, I get it. I dig it. I
that's more accurate right there. Just kind of like that angle, color wise. I guess when the light hits it, it becomes like light pink.
I call that enough's enough pink.
Yeah, I call it a clitoral pink.
Yeah, enough's enough pink.
The guitar tastes like delicious tuna. Just saying. But there you go. So today's show and tell guitar, a 1989 Kramer Stagemaster archtop in beautiful neon pink. Yummy, yummy, fucking yummy. There you go.
Very nice.
Thank you. So let's see. Where did we leave off on fun things to talk about? Let's wish let's have a happy note and a sad note. On a happy note, let's wish a very happy birthday to my buddy Spacey T of the band Sound Barrier. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, brother. Rock on. You're an amazing guitarist.
One of the early African-American entries into the hard rock heavy metal world.
Pretty much the biggest metal band. They are the first. I mean, you could look and say, okay, Jimi Hendrix was, brought electric guitar kind of into that area.
There were two non-African Americans in that band. Sound Barrier was the first all black hard
metal
rock
band. Band. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And I'll tell you,
way underrated.
Yeah, and one day, Tracy, I'm going to have you on the show as a guest because you have such good stories about racism back in the day, and not even just racism, but just metal, coming in as a black metal band, touring the South. Tons and tons of good stories he's told me that I want him to bring on the show. So one day we're going to have Spacey T on the show. And happy birthday, Trace. Rock on, brother. And then let's go unfortunately onto a sad note. The band Sweet, their bassist Stephen Priest has passed away at age 72 this week. And again, Sweet was a very big influential band, like Cheap Trick and those early bands that a lot of the metal guys looked at as an influence,
Fantastic band, super underrated. Their stuff is heavier than you think it is. Plus it was really interesting. It had a Queen feel to it in its background vocals because of the melody and the way the background vocals were laid. And yet the music was more glammy. Like a lot of bands like Hanoi Rocks and stuff like that wouldn't be around if it weren't for Sweet. And they were also the Sweet. They were referred to as both.
My bad.
No. I mean, it's just they were known as both, depending on what part of the country or what part of the world you heard them. Just like the Angels versus Angel City. Had a couple of big hits that most people know. Ballroom Blitz, which has been covered by everybody and their brother. Fox on the Run, which has been covered. Look, Ace Frehley's entire vocal style is predicated upon Sweet. He sounds like he could have been the lead vocalist for Sweet the way he sang. Their music was heavy. The guitar riffs were great. The production was fantastic. The image was somewhat androgynous in a very T-Rex style. And they were kind of like T-Rex, but not as hippie. They were more hard rock. There was a little bit of an edge to Sweet. Super underrated band along with Slade. And to hear that he passed is kind of a sad note.
Yeah, it's always sad when you lose, an influence into our genre being the metal scene. And look, at least he left a legacy that you can refer to and say, wow, that guy was in a groundbreaking band. And someone brought up, let's see, Scambot Terminator brings up that it's also Les Paul's birthday today.
Certainly is.
So
right.
Happy birthday in heaven to the great Les Paul.
He'd be like 109 or something.
Here are the records. If you're looking to introduce yourself to Sweet, you have Desolation Boulevard, which is the one with Ballroom Blitz on it and a bunch of other stuff that is fantastic.
The more well-known album.
That's the most well-known. And then this one, Level Headed, is also fantastic. There's a super underrated song that they did called Love is Like Oxygen that has a phenomenal guitar solo keyboard breakdown in the middle of it, if you hear the album version of it. But a really super underrated band. And it's funny because I mentioned it in this way. So Desolation Boulevard is, I don't know if you can read that. See, it says Sweet, Desolation Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Level-headed, they were the Sweet.
There you go.
I think this is a European pressing. But those are the two records that you want if you want to get into Sweet.
Again, you should at least listen to a sample just to know what's what.
Were they the Sweet later?
No, they were the Sweet, I think, earlier.
They shortened it to Sweet.
And here's a go just if you're gonna go full, if you want to go full Sweet, there's the anthology that you want.
There you go.
Is it the Sweet anthology or just Sweet anthology?
This is Sweet. Sweet.
Well,
it's funny because it's called Sweet Action, the Sweet Anthology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the if you look,
they had a song called Action, which was covered by Steve Stevens on the Atomic Playboys record. The hook is "Everybody wants a piece of the action." That's a Sweet song. Fox on the Run, Ballroom Blitz, Action, Little Willie.
I know that's my theme song.
Yes, exactly. But a fantastic band, and of course, there's Love is Like Oxygen.
To some girls, sperm is like oxygen.
And maybe you've heard of a little known third tier hair band out of LA called Sweet FA.
Yes.
Named after the song Sweet FA by The Sweet.
I didn't even know that. And I have that album.
Yeah. So there you go. I'm guessing it stood for sweet fucking ass.
Yeah, Wilfred Brimley did not listen to The Sweet. His compilation is called NutraSweet.
Yes, NutraSweet is the way to go with that.
Yes. And also
diabetes. Diabetes. It's diabetes.
I would like to say happy birthday to my first guitar hero. Can anybody guess who that is?
It's Van Halen's birthday? I didn't know that.
Well, Les Paul is, Les Paul
in the chat. Who is
my
very first guitar influence? It is his birthday today.
It's John BL's birthday?
Is it?
No, I don't know. No, it's not. If it was, we'd have a better celebration than this.
There we go. Ben Tom got it.
Marty McFly.
Yeah. Michael J. Fox. It's his birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always found his playing a little shaky.
Oh, terrible.
Too soon?
I've done, yeah.
You know what? That joke, you're not ready for it, but your kids are going to love it.
Oh, my God.
That's great. And that's where we return to Looney Tunes PC. No, I'm just kidding. I'd sooner return to Gomer Pyle PMC. Let's see. So what else we got on the news? So that's birthday. Speaking of guitar influences, if you guys, Paulie and Johnny, if you know this, don't say it. But Total Guitar Magazine recently brought up their pick for all-time greatest guitarist. Let's see. Did you guys hear this already?
Yes, and it's nonsense.
Yeah. All right. Who in the chat thinks they know, or who would be your opinion in the chat? And welcome, Sandra Pocorni. Who do you think would be, in your opinion, the greatest guitarist of all time? I want to know who the chat would vote for. And then I'll tell you who they picked. So you're voting for who you think is the greatest guitarist of all time. Your pick. Ben Tom says Marty McFly. He's obviously influenced by Johnny Beane.
That's my pick.
That's Johnny's. Let's see. Satch, Steve Vai, Eddie Van Halen.
My favorite is
Jimi Hendrix.
Is the guy we talked about just a minute ago. His birthday, Les Paul. Les Paul not only changed guitar from the guitar manufacturing standpoint, he was a beyond phenomenal jazz guitar player, and changed every facet of guitar as we know today. So in my opinion, he is the greatest of all time.
Of all time. Okay. So we have Yngwie, Robert Smith, Alan Holdsworth, Eddie Van Halen, Dimebag Darrell, David Gilmour, Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo, maybe. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Mick Mars? I like Mick Mars, but he's not the greatest of all time. Come on. Lil Wayne. Now I know you're just fucking around. Sean Mahoney, Eddie Van Halen, George Lynch, Jakey Lee. All good picks.
Thank you, Riley.
Riley Morgan says Johnny Beane. Johnny's a good player. You know?
I like Riley's pick.
George Benson, Brian May.
George Benson is Stanley Jordan, also way underrated.
Ben Tom says Les Paul with Mary Ford. David Nesdahl, California Home Builders, votes for David Nesdahl. And by the way, let's give a quick plug. Remember on Thursday to watch Nez Says on Dave's own channel. So do not forget to watch Nez Says. Always a good time with Dave and Ty. Ace Frehley, Kurt Cobain, Over My Dead Dick.
Stop it.
Prince. Prince is actually an excellent guitarist. Eddie Van Halen, Chet Atkins, Peter Criss, another vote for Dimebag Darrell, Robert Johnson, Lil Wayne, Gary Richrath, Sandra Pocorni says.
Gary Richrath is a super underrated guitar player.
Very underrated.
REO Speedwagon stuff. I mean, the guitar playing and some of that shit is amazing.
Wrecking Crew, Johnny Hillen. Okay, you get the idea. A couple of people said the same answer. The one I saw the most was Eddie Van Halen. Okay. Oddly, I did not see Randy Rhoads on there on that list. And I think he's easily in the top few, if not one of the best. But Eddie Van Halen's the name I keep seeing the most. Ben Tom says Halata Vagina. Halata Vagina. I love playing Halata Vagina. Some of my favorite things to finger on a guitar is Halata Vagina. So
yeah, unfortunately, a lot of that stuff when you're fingering, a lot of it's A minor.
By the way, this pedophilia joke brought to you by Bang Energy Drink. Thank you, Bang Energy Drink and Swiss Picks. Thank you.
Kids love it, and they do too.
I give these out for Halloween and lure them. Well, never mind. There we go. So the point is, they have said from Total Guitar Magazine, they voted, and their opinion of the greatest guitarist of all time is Brian May.
Nope.
Yeah. Now let me be real clear about this. Brian May, amazing guitarist, very, very emotional, soulful, wonderful technique, unique, wrote some classic stuff and played them incredibly. He's a fantastic, amazing, terrific guitar player. No one can deny that, and I think he's great. With
Not in the
that
top 5.
said, not at all in the top 5. Even he was amazed. Even he said, I didn't even think I was in the same tree as some of those branches of the best guitar players. Because to me, John Mancuda, I feel Eddie Van Halen is a contender. I feel if you said Steve Vai or Randy Rhoads, they could be contenders. I feel if you said Jimmy Page or Eric Clapton, they could be contenders.
Jeff Beck,
absolutely. These would all easily be in the top 10. All the ones I'm mentioning. I don't honestly, and again, I love Brian May. I honestly don't feel he would even make the top 10. As good as he is, there's so much better players out there. I can't say it enough. I don't know where the hell. And yeah, Pooh Ninja, I said Steve Vai.
Steve Vai is the greatest guitar player on the planet right now.
He would easily be in the top 5, no matter what your argument. I'd say these 3 could be in the top. My top 5 would probably be Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, Randy Rhoads, and 2 other guys that we could debate. Johnny Beane absolutely could be in there. He could be. And I got a couple of votes. But look, as good as... No, he sucks. What are you talking about? No, I love you, Paul. No, but and Nesdal got a vote. That's a possibility.
Yeah,
but
see, I didn't even get a vote.
Yeah. Nesdal got a vote. Yeah, I mean, you could, again, arguments could be made for, guys. I don't feel, certain guys could make it in there. But on my top 3, I would absolutely say Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, and Randy Rhoads would be my personal top 3. You could argue for the other 2 to a number of cases, and a lot of you guys and girls would be right. But when it comes to the best ever, whether it's influence and technique and precision and uniqueness and tone and whatever way you want to look at it, as much as I love Ace Frehley, okay, big Kiss fan, Ace was a huge influence on so many people. He doesn't qualify as the best guitarist ever. He just doesn't. Great tone, great showmanship, influenced a ton of people. He's just not there. And to my opinion, same category, neither is Brian May. I'm sorry to say. Now argue with me. Go ahead.
Les Paul, Jimi Hendrix.
Hendrix, absolutely.
Les Paul, Jimi Hendrix, Steve Vai, Eddie Van Halen, Richie Blackmore.
I'm going to throw Hendrix into my top 5. Now you got one more to argue with me.
To me, those are the 5 that everything else comes from. The shredding thing doesn't exist. Obviously Les Paul started it all off. And let's, by the way, we're forgetting guys like Scotty Moore and, Chuck Berry, guys that were sort of the pioneers of it. But Les Paul was the first guitar hero of the modern era of once guitar had become a thing. Les Paul had his own TV show. He and Mary Ford. Les Paul was a musician that got his own TV show. He was the first guitar hero. Not a rock and roll hero, not a rock and roll star, but a TV figure who played guitar and had his own TV show based upon he and his wife. It was like a variety show deal. So, and then Jimmy is Jimmy. I mean, fuck, it's Jimi Hendrix. Don't even.
Yeah, he would be in my top 5. Absolutely. Now you got one more. And Vista Light 1972 brings up BB King. So did Drew SGS 60. BB King was an incredible. You've never felt soul rattling guitar like you have with BB King.
But he can't play chords.
But he has emotion in his playing like nobody. He was the blues.
I put Vai above Eddie Van Halen, not because he's a better songwriter or wrote better music, but he is a technically superior guitar player. Steve Vai is the most technically proficient guitar player I have ever seen.
I agree.
He can play anything, anytime, anywhere, in any key, any mode. There isn't anything that can be done on guitar that Steve Vai hasn't mastered. And that's because he came up under Frank Zappa, who is one of the most underrated guitar players and never gets mentioned, but we have to go with the top 5. So I have to put Vai in there as the most technically proficient guitar player. So I've got the first guitar hero who invented a guitar, multi-track recording, and effects, the greatest rock guitar player of all time, who without whom most of these guys, and who eclipsed all of his peers, then the greatest technical guitar player. Now, Eddie Van Halen made it fucking cool for everybody to want to play guitar. Everybody wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. And then after that, Ritchie Blackmore, because he invented shred guitar. Before Vai, there was Blackmore. Blackmore was the first guy that took classical. He and Steve Howe are the two first guys that took what Paganini and Bach and Beethoven and all that stuff did on classical and brought it to popular music. Blackmore begat Malmsteen, begat Satch, begat all of the guys that you can name, Paul Gilbert and all those shredders, all germinate from Ritchie Blackmore. So he never gets mentioned.
You know who voted for Yngwie Malmsteen was Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yngwie Malmsteen, yes,
that's
of course.
Right. That's right. But otherwise, no, look, Yngwie, of course, is great. But is he the greatest of all time? No. Look, if I put Yngwie Malmsteen in on a stage next to Jimi Hendrix, I'm sorry, as good as Malmsteen is, Hendrix is my guy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, Hendrix was the first. You know, when guys like Pete Townsend and Eric Clapton are standing on the side of the stage looking at each other going, oh, shit. You're talking, and Jeff Beck, all these guys are like, oh, shit, this guy is that good. When you're that good, you know, you are the best. When you're the measuring stick, you're the best.
When your peers, and don't bring up measuring stick, my penis is still trying. No, look, when your peers of that level of playing are looking at you in awe, you're legendary. Yeah. Jimi Hendrix is legendary. Brian May is great. He's a great guitarist. He's not that level. I'm sorry. He's not.
Scambot Terminator brings up, can you guys even acknowledge Stevie Ray Vaughan? Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll acknowledge Stevie Ray Vaughan, but we're talking about the top 5, and Hendrix begat Stevie Ray. And Stevie Ray, most of what Stevie Ray did comes from Hendrix. And so when you put out, you're talking about the Mount Rushmore of rock guitar players. Stevie Ray, again, that's why when you start talking about narrowing it down to 5, it's ridiculous. It's impossible to do because there are 100 phenomenal guitar players. How do you slot them? I will say somebody brought up and Angus Young, super underrated guitar player, never gets the credit he deserves. Somebody brought up the Rolling
not the
Stone
best
list. No, somebody brought up the Rolling Stone top guitar player list from a few years ago. They had like Kurt Cobain and Jack White above guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Steve Vai, and Eddie Van Halen. Fuck you.
Yeah,
you're out of your mind.
That loses all credibility for me when they're talking about a guitarist like that in that quality. Come on, I mean.
Well, you got to remember though, these articles, this stuff is all measured by the people that read this stuff.
Oh, exactly. And that's the thing. Somebody brought up that this guitar magazine, Total Guitar, is a UK magazine. All right. So in England,
right,
Queen are bigger today than they ever were in their so-called heyday.
God save the Queen.
But thanks to Bohemian Rhapsody and how many different times that song has come back and how many different things are going on with that band and their consciousness in the public. Queen are arguably bigger now than they ever were when they were the original 4 guys in the band. And so because they're in that comet trail, Brian May gets the benefit of the doubt in this thing. That's not to take away from the fact that he's not a phenomenal art. You know, again, if you're putting together your top 30, maybe you can put Brian May in there. Number 1, no way in no world is Brian May the greatest guitar player to ever play a guitar. It's just not true.
No, absolutely. And Jesus Rapes Me brings up Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page, great player, legendary, amazing.
Yep.
And Couple people in the chat brought up CC DeVille. Come on. I love CC, probably one of his biggest fans of his work. And I have to say, come on, you know he's not up there.
A lot of people, I love it when people, Papa Blue brings up the whole Terry Kath thing of Chicago. Terry Kath is a name drop. I know he was good, but he and Albert Lee, and there's a couple of those other guys that just get mentioned as name drops. They're not as good as these other guys. Yes, Jimi Hendrix can say that Terry Kath was the greatest guitar player he ever saw, and some people will say that Joe Satriani is the greatest guitar player they ever saw, and some people will say that David Gilmour is the great. You know what else we're all leaving out? That's one of the most phenomenal guitar players. There's two of them. Three greatest finger pickers I've ever seen: Chet Atkins, Mark Knopfler, and Lindsey Buckingham, who never get mentioned in these
great
things.
players. Great
players, but not in the top 5.
Not even close.
An argument can be made for Chet Atkins and even Mark Knopfler as being, if you're into finger picking, Chet Atkins, Mark Knopfler, and probably Roy Clark are the 3 greatest finger pickers I've ever seen.
And while that may be true, look, I don't care if it's Papa Blue, Papa Smurf, Papa Boner. No, we're talking all time, the greatest of all time.
Mhm.
That's a big
by the readers
level.
of a magazine that are probably, who reads this
Stone.
magazine? I don't read it.
Drunk, stoned, 18, what? Pick one.
Yeah,
I just think it's kind of a coincidence that Brian May put out that video that everybody's covering now.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Jason McNamara covered it. He was in the news a lot for twice this past few weeks for what, he had a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
what?
Who?
He sat on
Brian-
a rake.
Brian May had an anal
Gardening
problem.
So he's been in the news a lot. So do you think this could be a result of
Sure,
a couple months?
Yeah, he's relevant. He's relevant with the movie and all.
Repetition breeds familiarity. So when you start to hear things like, you ever think about buying a certain car or buying a certain guitar, and all of a sudden you see it all the time everywhere? It's because you weren't looking for it, but now it's sort of top of mind consciousness. Well, when you've got a guy like Brian May, who, by the way, and the NASA thing, let's not forget, the SpaceX and all that shit that's going on, Brian May, Dr. Brian May, one of the preeminent astrophysicists in the fucking world. Being one of the greatest guitar players to ever pick up a guitar.
And a rocket scientist.
And that's the second most impressive thing about Brian May. He's a goddamn rocket scientist. When NASA needs advice on shit to go into outer space, they will call and run it past Brian May. He's one of those guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Stephen Hawking. He's considered one of the smartest fucking people in physics. That's the second most impressive thing about Brian May, is the fact that he can play guitar very well.
And because he's that smart, even he realizes he doesn't deserve that title.
Yes. Yes.
Even
he did the math.
Even he sat with a board, something that would put Matt Damon to shame, playing with that problem on the board in Good Will Hunting. And he said, the numbers just don't add. I'm sorry. Mathematically, I am not the absolute best player of all time. I'm sorry.
And that's something nobody will ever agree on. But at some point, you have to sit back and say, okay, the jury is in. Based upon most people, greatest rock guitar player of all time is Jimi Hendrix. Based upon the greatest rock guitar players of all time, will tell you Hendrix changed the game. Hendrix changed the game. Hendrix, they can all admit, when you can get a guy with an ego like Jimmy Page, or a guy with an ego like Jeff Beck, or a guy with an ego like Eric Clapton or Pete Townsend to go, well, that's Jimi Hendrix. My God. At that point, you have to sit back and defer to the experts and go, well, if Eric Clapton thinks Jimi Hendrix is the greatest guitar player of all time, if Stevie Ray Vaughan thinks that, if Steve Vai thinks that Jimi Hendrix, well, then I guess at some point you have to kind of sit back and go, it's a duck.
Yeah.
At some point you have to, the rest of it is all subjective, but at some point you sit back, like in any election, you count all the votes. and you say, well, the guy with the most votes wins. Jimmy always gets the most votes, except
There's
for
a
this
reason.
except
There's
for
a
this
reason.
magazine.
Yeah, this
Except for
vote, this magazine used the Electoral College. This was the Electoral College of heavy metal.
Yeah.
Come on, I mean, come on. You can't tell me that realistically that's that's even in your mind.
No,
Comparative.
Krellbar brings up, we don't take into consideration that Hendrix loved Kath. No, we don't take into consideration that Hendrix loved Kath because Terry Kath's body of work is not representative. It didn't. If Terry Kath was as great as Jimi Hendrix said Terry Kath is, everyone else would say the same thing, and Terry Kath would be a household name. He's not, because Chicago's music and the music that Terry Kath contributed to, his life ended tragically way too short, way too early, and we get that. It would be interesting to see what Terry Kath would have done. But when it's all said and done, Jimmy put out enough music that changed the world. Terry Kath has one song people know, 25 or 6 to 4. That's the only thing people know that he played on. The average American world citizen knows 25 or 6 to 4. And he shreds the shit out of that song. But Terry Kath is not a household name. Again, a name drop name. Everyone knows who Jimi Hendrix is.
Yeah, look, everyone loves playing Freebird. Okay. With that said, it's there's such bodies of work out there by so many guitarists that bring them legendary status.
Right.
And I'm sorry, as great as Queen was, as well remembered as Bohemian Rhapsody and whatever, he's not the best player. He's not in the top 5. He wouldn't even be in my contender. I love him, respect him. Wish to God I could play an 80th of the way he does. But the fact is, someone like Jimi Hendrix, I could say respectably, probably. Someone like Eddie Van Halen, I could say respectably and probably. Someone like Steve, I could take some of those arguments and bounce them back and forth. Because you're right. They are all in that range of being possibilities. Brian May is just not. He's just not as great as he is. He's not. I'm sorry.
People point out. What is that? The title on that magazine?
The greatest 100 greatest guitarist of all time.
Greatest, not best players.
Greatest,
not most well known.
Not nicest.
Greatest,
not meanest
player. That doesn't mean look, Yngwie Malmsteen. Yngwie Malmsteen is technically a superior guitar player to Eddie Van Halen.
Not the most modest.
Yngwie Malmsteen is technically a superior guitar player to Joe Satriani. Yngwie Malmsteen is one of the technically most proficient guitar players on the planet. That doesn't make him the greatest. Just because Terry Kath could play, and oh, by the way, he wasn't as great as you think he was. It's a subjective thing. When the experts, everybody that's aware of Terry Kath, if he was as great as some people believe him to be, and you're certainly entitled to that opinion, but if he was that great, he would be in this list. Greatness is something that is achieved based upon awareness, influence, and the body of work that you put out there. I'll throw a grenade in the room. I find Randy Rhoads to be potentially the most overrated guitar player of all time. I didn't like his tone. I didn't like his tone. His tone was too mid-rangey and annoying in long doses. All right. His playing is phenomenal. His songwriting, fucking awful. Those first he didn't write those songs. Bob Daisley wrote those songs.
Well, I don't care at all. But this other guy, he was in his top 3.
My
solos are fantastic.
My testicles just sucked back up into my body, and my asshole just puckered right now. Just hearing that.
He's not as great as everybody says he is. Don't get me wrong. I love him, but his body of work was not that big. He made 2 records that people care about.
Legendary records.
2 legendary records. He didn't write the songs. His playing on those records is awesome. His tone on those records, not fantastic.
To you.
But those, and that's fine. His playing on those records are great. But 2 records about what's 14, 15 songs? He also put out 2 records with Quiet Riot when he was on his own with
early
Quiet Riot.
on though.
Yeah, not a great songwriter.
Okay, but I'm sure Hendrix wasn't the best out of the gate either.
I
Nor was Van
understand.
Halen. I mean, you know,
Well, I don't know about that.
Van Halen was.
Yeah,
right? But well,
I don't know.
I'm saying
You ever
I'm
heard their
saying
first
there wa-
record?
I'm saying,
Hendrix-
well, I'm just saying at a
Hendrix's first
certain
record was "Are
at
You
a-
Experienced?"
I'm saying at a certain point in their lives, everyone is growing and learning and whatever. Okay, sure, of course, Halen one's legendary, but my point is,
so is
my
"Are You
point is-
Experienced?"
okay, sure.
Quiet
But
Riot 1, not so much.
But before they got those record deals, I'm saying if you look at some, Van Halen, 5 years before he got Van Halen 1 published, maybe he wasn't that good. Maybe he's the same position Randy was with Quiet Riot, where he started out super young.
Well,
and
then how did he get a record deal?
Well,
Those first-
5 years late. 5 years later, he got better and better and better. Everyone starts as a beginner and works the way up. Randy, during his Quiet Riot years, was not up to par as he was legendary with Ozzy.
Right, but he didn't write. I'm just said his playing on those records are fantastic, but he's not. He didn't write those songs. I think Randy gets credit for writing Crazy Train. I think he gets credit for writing You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, or he gets credit for writing Mr. Crowley and Diary of a Madman and all of those, I Don't Know, and whatever song, Suicide Solution, whatever you want to put in there. He didn't write them. He played on them. Cool player. I mean, using that great playing, why isn't Terry Kath and why isn't Steve Lukather being mentioned as one of the greatest guitar players of all time? Didn't write it, played the shit out of it.
Did you see that whole list?
No. We're talking about way up in the top.
I'm sure everybody's on it, at some point. But look, the fact is, a magazine like that, in my eyes, loses total credibility when they put out a list, even if they put out a list to get people to discuss, the subject, and it's controversial, so everyone's talking about it.
They put it out to sell magazines.
Yeah, but the fact is, when you come up with a top 10 like that, and Brian May is your number one, I'm not going to buy your magazine anymore. You have no credibility in my eyes anymore.
Yeah,
I could deal if you had someone that I could debate. If you said Eric Clapton, maybe not my personal choice, but I could justify that choice being there, alternating with number 3 or 4. I could justify the possibility. I can't do that with Brian May. And that's where the magazine loses me in credibility.
Yeah, I think that everything after, there's Jimmy and everyone else. And by the way, I say this, I'm wearing the shirt. I own everything the guys recorded. I'm not a Jimi Hendrix fan. I'm not a fanboy for Jimi Hendrix. But the undeniable are undeniable. It's like you could say the Beatles aren't the greatest rock and roll band of all time. You'd be wrong. They are. Many came before. There was rock and roll before the Beatles, and there was rock and roll after the Beatles.
I won't debate that.
And the Beatles are the measuring stick. When you're the measuring stick, you are the greatest. And Jimmy became the measuring stick the minute Are You Experienced was released. He became the guy that everybody is compared to. And when you are who everyone is compared to, you win. Whether we agree or not, you win. When everybody goes, well, Five's better than Hendrix, everybody is being compared to Jimi Hendrix. Terry Kath, well, he was Jimi Hendrix's best guitar player. So if Jimi Hendrix says Terry Kath was great, and everyone says Jimi Hendrix was great, A equals B, B equals C, Terry Kath must have been the greatest guitar player of all time. How come nobody else knows that? Jimmy is the measuring stick. He's the one we all compare everyone else to and try to say, is Eddie better than Jimmy? Is Jimmy Page better than Jimi Hendrix? Is Eric Clapton better than Jimi Hendrix? When you're the comparison, that's the greatest. That's the greatest. Whether or not you're the best player is irrelevant. Whether or not you're the best songwriter is irrelevant. Greatness is Jesus. You start comparing Jesus, every deity, and I'm not saying I'm just using that as a measuring stick.
Why do you gotta go with that?
But that's the point I'm saying is when you're the measuring stick, God, or whatever it is you want to do, pick a sports hero, Muhammad Ali. When you're the guy that everybody is measured against, you're the greatest. You win, and that's why I can't agree that Brian May is the greatest.
We're going to meet Joe Namath. Joe Namath. Joe Namath. Joe Namath.
You know, you can't be the measuring stick and not be the greatest. The Beatles are the measuring stick. Jimi Hendrix is the measuring stick. John Bonham is the measuring stick, although there can be an argument to be made for Neil Peart as well.
John Mancuda has a measuring stick.
Yes, John Mancuda tries to do a measuring stick, measuring thick.
Yeah, look, as long as it has the little the millimeters on it, then I'm accurate. That's all that matters.
You know where you can
because I want every millimeter I can get.
The one where you can get into a more fun debate is greatest vocalist.
A mass debate.
Mass debating. If we're mass debating here,
yes,
the greatest vocalist of all time. Now there's a little bit more debate there. There's a lot more. They're even like rock singers, band members, all these guys will argue. There is no singular guy that everybody says is the greatest of all time. Some will say Paul Rodgers. Some will say Robert Plant. Some will say, and then we get into the metal world, Jeff Tate, Bruce Dickinson, Rob Halford. If you want to get into a great debate where you'll get a million different opinions, vocalists we can go back and forth with for hours. But guitars, the most commonly cited name is Jimi Hendrix, and that makes him the greatest.
I won't argue with that. I can't. I mean, like I said, you could debate 2 or 3 in there, maybe against him, and there maybe, and you could agree to disagree, but that's pretty much where it's. By the way, let me interject real quick. If you're listening to this podcast or watching this right now, please take a second, like the video, hit the thumbs up. If you liked this beautiful guitar, if you liked the dogs, Ned, if you are a fan of Blue Rhino, please take a second and hit the like button and like this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We appreciate our audience.
A rare appearance from Lemmy. Lemmy has decided it's 8 o'clock and you guys have been doing this for 3 hours and 2 minutes. She needs to go pee. They have this thing down to a science. They know from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, Ace acts up. At 8 o'clock, Lemmy's like, all right, enough.
Well, before he pees, I have one more thing I want to bring up. Just a really funny story that Satchel from Steel Panther brought up in an interview the other day. And he was talking about one day he happened to be playing in the band, and they noticed Zakk Wylde was in one of the early rows of the audience. And he thought he might be drunk. He looked like he was sloshing around. So he called him out. He's like, Zakk Wylde, you get up on this stage here and play with us, man, or you're a big pussy. And Zakk, of course, is a mountain of a man and wearing boots on top of it. And he lumbers up to the stage, and, Satchel's like, geez, I'm starting to realize he's like, comparatively, he's about 6'10" compared to me, or so it felt like it. And he's like, so, all right, Zakk, you're here. Let's play together. I'm not playing no. And by the way, Zakk Wylde was blotto. He was totally blitzed.
So this is a few years ago because he hasn't been drinking in a while.
Correct. And this was before they were technically Steel Panthers. So they were either Metal School or
Metal Shop.
Metal Shop, right. So Zakk Wylde drunkenly goes, I'm not playing guitar. I want to sing. And he said, okay. He didn't see that coming, but all right. Yeah, let's sing. What song do you want us to sing? Play some Marshall Tucker. And Satchel's like, and they're looking at each other. He's like, I'm wearing zebra spandex pants. Do I look like I know any Marshall Tucker right now? And he's like, you don't play something I know how to sing, I'll kill you. So he's like, oh shit. So what else do you want to play? Hey, careful. Warner Brothers may censor that sound effect, Johnny. Yeah. So he says, well, we don't want to die. So, all right, fine. You're metal. Play War Pigs. Go right now. And he's looking at the drummer, and the drummer's like, okay. And he looks at Lexi Fox, who's the bass player. Doesn't know War Pigs. Satchel says, I'm starting to sweat at this moment that Zack's getting pissed on stage and he's going to kill me. And he says, all right, he whispers to Lexi, he's like, follow my fingers or we're all going to die. So Lexi's sitting there just kind of watching it, and they perform War Pigs, and Zach sang it. So I thought that was a fun little time of the past worth remembering.
I love the fact that Zach Wilde was in the Allman Brothers for one show. He didn't just jam with the Allman Brothers. He was supposed to be in the Allman Brothers. They were having some problems with either Warren or Dickie, I forget at the time. And he played in Mansfield, Massachusetts. And the Allman Brothers were like, all right, well, this guy knows our stuff, because Zach probably picked some of that stuff up while they were jamming together. They go out, they play the one show. There's a bootleg of it out there somewhere. And Zach, in the middle of Allman Brothers songs. Now, if you know anything about the Allman Brothers, they jam for 10, 12, 15, sometimes 20 minutes at a time during a show. They turn it over to Zach to have a moment, and Zach starts fucking shredding. Totally doesn't fit with what the Allman Brothers are doing. Took them one show to go, not the right guy for our band.
So he tried it out for Kiss. I don't think you're a good fit for us.
He was almost in Guns N' Roses too for a brief period.
Was he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, jamming with those guys for a while before the Chinese Democracy debacle.
And debacle it was.
Certainly was.
Johnny, how many likes are we at?
I see 72, although I can't trust that computer because the chat is like from 2 hours ago.
Yeah, it's higher than that. But either way, take a second, please. If you're enjoying the video, even if you're not, leave a like. And don't sue us, Bang Energy Drink, please.
I'm not enjoying it. I didn't have fun.
Paul never has a good time. I always have a good time, but I'm always mentally fucked up. Thank you, by the way, Swiss Picks. And thank you, Bang Energy Drink, for sponsoring what is easily the most twisted podcast around. And thank you to our awesome audience. Guys, are we good?
I'm good.
Johnny, what do you think?
I'm great.
By the way, yeah, Krellbar brings up Zach Wilde wasn't a fit, but Buckethead was. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I'm good too, man. And thank you, by the way, to everybody for participating.
Yeah, and by the way, my pick of the week for interesting music to listen to, Lee Aaron, L-E-E, last name A-A-R-O-N, supposedly the self-named Queen of Metal, which you could technically attribute more to Lita Ford, but there's something about Lee Aaron that sounded really good right about 1989. Check it out. Someone turned me on to it this week, and I've been listening to it, and I'm still pretty high on baby metal. So even some Dave dude rejects it. That guy's a good player in baby metal, man. Call it what you want, but
And because John brought you some Canadian female-fronted rock, I will get you your random rare band of the week for you. Is also Canadian, also led by a female lead vocalist. They're called Headpins. Go seek out Headpins, and if you want to YouTube it after we're done here, the song "Mine All Mine" would be the one from the Head Over Heels record, if you want to check those out. So another great Canadian hard rock / metal band led by a leather-lunged female vocalist. Phenomenal records.
Really great stuff. And, if you want to stay American, go with Sandy Saraya. I like her first two albums a lot.
Two good records, yeah.
Yeah, so.
And Doro is the Queen of Metal.
Doro could be very easily argued the Queen of Metal. Yeah. I still think Lita, though.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Who's the greatest of all time, Guitar Magazine? What do you think? What do you think? Is Brian May also the greatest female artist?
I think if we're going to talk about greatest female vocalist of all time, and I guess I'll leave you with this and let people argue about it.
Pat Benatar.
Tough to argue against Ann Wilson. Tough to argue against Ann Wilson.
I'm going to stick with Benatar.
All right.
And I like Hart. I really do.
Yeah.
But I think listening to Pat Benatar scream out Promises in the Dark, you got me. You had me at hello.
Yeah, listening to Barracuda, man, that vocal in Barracuda.
Ooh, John Mancuda. All right, look.
Diabetes.
Diabetes.
Look, we love you guys and girls out there. Please leave a thumbs up. Please like the videos. Please subscribe. And please come back to watch all of Johnny's shows through the week.
Yeah.
So thank you guys and rock on. We really appreciate you. And leave comments. We read them and we reply to them.
John replies to him. I just read them.
Yeah, that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah. I reply to them too.
I never even learned
reply.
how to read.
Well, you certainly won't learn from Sesame Street. They've cleaned up that. The only two letters you have to know are brought to you by the letters P and C.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much for watching this, everybody.
Cookie Monster is now Veggie Monster. What a joke.
Stop it.
Thank you to our executive producers, to our channel members. Thank you so much. We love all of you.
We love you, people.
Yeah.
We love you.
Do you love them?
Do we read those anymore?
No, let Johnny do it.
Oh, it's a lot of I can't read.
Well, there you
Oh,
go.
never learned.
Ever since Cookie Monster became Veggie Monster, Sesame Street just isn't what it used to, teaching all about real life. It's got to be PC. Got to be PC.
Oh, well, okay then.
Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael.
Yeah. All right,
we
we'll
read-
see.
No.
What?
Okay. We don't read those cards anymore at the end. No.
That's a John BL job.
Yeah. I'll show them.
There they are.
The thing is, I keep having to change them.
But that's a
keep
good
having-
thing.
Yeah.
That's why you make the big bucks, boss man.
Yeah. So there they are for today.
Thanks, Easter Bunny. Buck, buck. Steve Carmichael.
Wave cartoons alone.
Please.
Stop
We've a-
fucking with them.
Leave him alone. What
All
my
right.
Wabbit, what my wad? I'm gonna blow my woad. That was when he was Elmer Pudd in the porno movie.
Oh.
Thankfully, it's over.
Thankfully.
All
Good
right.
night, everybody.
Good night, and I'll see everybody. See you guys tomorrow.
Diabetes.
Diabetes.